Well, this Wrestle Dream turned into a Wrestle Nightmare, didn't it? My God. What an ending to this show, and it was actually a really solid show. Second year in a row, second annual AEW WrestleDream. Tomas is here, just coming off of a live viewing of a pretty uneventful AEW Dynamite, from what I'm hearing.
Yes, I kind of had a very ass-backwards week when it came to watching this show. I missed the pay-per-view. Then I made my way to the SAP Center for AEW Dynamite. Got to see that live. I was like sixth row on the floor. Then came back and actually just watched this pay-per-view yesterday. So it was weird. I got the fallout and then I watched the pay-per-view. But you know what's weird? Even though I got the fallout before the pay-per-view, I had no idea like most of the stuff that happened on the show. Yeah, I knew most of the results, but that ending still kind of took me off guard. I didn't know that happened.
No.
So that was a pretty intense thing. But I will say, I am absolutely delighted that AEW had a very good pay-per-view with this one. I know the past few pay-per-views have had a lot of like filler or stuff that didn't catch my attention or stuff that just made me scratch my head or just sheer burnout from watching these AEW pay-per-views. This one, I think, was very consistent from start to finish. I don't think there was a match on this card that I disliked, and the crowd was very into it from start to finish. And this is the direction I want AEW to go in. They had stars on the rise. They had established stars. They have a very good storyline with the Blackpool Combat Club right now. And I think one dominant factor on this show, as opposed to, what was the last pay-per-view where the theme was murder?
It was All Out. It was All Out.
Thank you.
Yep.
I think the theme with this pay-per-view was the baby faces getting genuine empathy and you wanting to see them win. And there was a really good case of that, and there was a really bad case of that on this show. So I am very excited to go through this pay-per-view match by match. You said second annual WrestleDream, once again emanating from the Tacoma Dome and Tacoma, Washington. And the Tacoma
last year was in Seattle, I think. But it's
before they were both in Tacoma.
No, I think it was definitely in Seattle. But yeah, Tacoma. I mean, regardless, Pacific Northwest. I mean, it's like, I don't know. I mean, it's
Washington
like comparing.
Is the destination for WrestleDream. I think this is a very hot market. I think we touched on this a couple years ago when we thought Chicago was a little too oversaturated. We needed to go different locations, and this is proving it. You go to a place like a Washington, and the crowd is hot. Go to these places where the crowd is going to react, and you're going to have a good show every time. Like I said, I thought this was a very good pay-per-view.
And for once, it looked like the building was sold out too. In terms of AEW, like you go to these markets where wrestling is, what's the word? Desirable. Like,
yes,
yeah, like you're gonna get packed houses. Like Chicago, I'm sure is sick of seeing AEW at this point. But
it's, it was packed out. Unlike that Dynamite I went to, there were very large pockets of the crowd missing. The whole upper section was tarped off. The sad thing was every single video I took of the event, with my angle, it was shown straight towards a completely deserted section of the arena, and it made the show look very empty. Trust me, the arena was like 70% full, and it was a lot more packed than I thought it was going to be. I was scared the second half of the arena was all going to be tarped out, but no, we had a good, if the arena curves this way, all of this was filled, and then it probably started getting empty around this point right here. So there was just that one pocket that was completely empty. But, I think the thing that I've noticed with this pay-per-view is the pay-per-views are very, very good.
They're great.
Say that this was worth my $50. I want TV to be this consistent and this good like it was in 2019. Because let me tell you, that AEW Dynamite I went to, very mid, not a lot happened, and a lot of stars were missing. Let me tell you. And no Danielson, no Ospreay, no MJF. Severely lacking stars. Not even Jericho.
And the frustrating thing is, like, AEW has flashes of good stories going on, like with the Blackpool Combat Club, as we'll talk about. And there's another one that pops up in the middle of the show that is really compelling me right now. But across the board, it's like long-term storytelling doesn't exist in All Elite Wrestling. Like, Tony Khan is like, he's counting on the sickos, like, knowing the entire history of these wrestlers through all the promotions. But I'm like, let's just stick with AEW as it is. I mean, like, I appreciate. Yeah.
The stories are very good. Again, I am very compelled by the Blackpool Combat Club story. Um, just like everybody else, wasn't too hot on the Jericho Briscoe thing, but I think they pulled out a good story. I didn't think I needed to catch the Undisputed for the international title, but the match was so damn good, and it was nice to see Takeshita win a title. And
jumping
again,
the gun here.
yeah, exactly. I know. I shouldn't jump too into things, but in a vacuum, I think these stories are pretty good. Even the hologram Mortos story, I think was, in a vacuum, very consistent. But it's just that the lead into these, and it's the aftermath. I think the aftermath that bothers me the most. And the biggest example I can think of, we talked about this in a previous podcast with Kyle O'Reilly and Roderick Strong. I think that story wrote itself. They are former teammates. Kyle O'Reilly was conflicted. But what did they do? 4 weeks after the feud started, already a title match. Kyle O'Reilly went down. There was nowhere else for the story to go.
Exactly.
And I want AEW to just stay consistent. That's all I want. In a vacuum, this show is fantastic. And if you would have shown somebody who had never seen AEW before this pay-per-view, I think it shows the best of AEW.
I agree.
But then, you want to follow up with them and say, hey, I want to check out Dynamite. You watch Dynamite on Wednesday, and it was a whole lot of nothing.
Yeah. That's proof that you can't really have, you can't book a wrestling promotion in a vacuum. And it's almost starting to feel like 2018 WWE, where you have great matches, but, after that match, it's where the fuck do you go from here?
Yeah, exactly. Think of AJ Styles and Samoa Joe. I thought that was a great story. I thought that was a great, Joe bringing AJ's wife into it. And even though the pay-per-views were booked very oddly, Joe and Styles always put on a good match. But then after the fact, what the fuck was Samoa Joe doing? He didn't win the WWE title.
Nope.
So back in the mid-card purgatory for him.
No, Samoa Joe was just visiting his favorite fast food joint. Oh, Wendy's!
And the fact that we still quote that just goes to show how great that story was. But anywho, let's get stuff kicked off. We did not watch the pre-show, but we're going to quickly go through these results. Brian Cage defeated Atlantis Jr. to retain his Ring of Honor World Television Championship. They haven't been doing a lot with Cage, but at least he has a title. At least he's being featured here. Brian Cage should be a world fucking champion, but I digress. Anna Jay defeated Harley Cameron. Anna Jay getting a little push on TV. I think she just challenged Mariah May for the women's title. Good to see that Tony Khan remembered who Anna Jay was. This one's interesting. The Acclaimed defeated MMXM Collection, who is Mansoor and Masay, former Maximum Male models.
Mansoor.
Just putting it on there for people who may not remember them. Masay is going by Mason Madden now. I like that they have taken the model gimmick into the indies. I think this is going to do well for them. I don't know if they're all elite, but, it was cool. It's cool.
Yeah.
So they're both very talented.
And to your point, you also mentioned the Acclaim were, of course, accompanied to the ring by Daddy Ass. MXM needed to even the odds and have someone in their corner, so they get Billy Gunn's former fashion stylist, Enrico Constantino. What an out of nowhere return this was. It was so cool to see him. He took a famouser from Billy Gunn also. It was cool. It was cool.
And we tend to frown upon the WWE callbacks, but if you're a fan of wrestling from 2002, like when we started, countless memories of Billy, Chuck, and Rico. So that did bring a smile to my face to see a callback to that. And again, it's just one of those things that if you know, you know.
Yeah. It was cool that Tony Khan pulled Rico out of whatever normal life he's been living to come back for one night. It was super, super cool. And then
the conglomeration of Orange Cassidy and Kyle O'Reilly the Outrunners. Okay, please hear me out. I'm not shitting on these guys. I just don't know who they are. All I know is that they are a throwback 80s gimmick, and they are over as fuck. Are they a collision act? Please, somebody tell me. I'm not trying to sound like a smartass. I was at Dynamite. They came out and confronted FTR, and the crowd went fucking ballistic for them. And I was literally sitting there like that John Travolta meme.
Who the fuck are these guys? Yeah, I still don't know who they are.
I'm not trying to bury them. I'm really not. If they're great, awesome. I just don't know who they are. So please, somebody, this is a genuine question. Who are they? And why are they over?
You
Please,
know,
somebody tell me.
3 years from now, we're probably going to be looking back on this very moment, and we're probably going to be like, "Oh yeah, the Outlanders are one of our favorite tag teams, and we just met
Outrunners.
them at WrestleCon or something." What did I say? The
You said
Outlanders?
Outlanders. You're
Like
thinking of
children,
Zoolander.
like children. I was thinking Children of the Corn actually, but yeah, the Outrunners. Yeah, 3 years are probably going to be one of our favorite tag teams, and we'll probably have met them at WrestleCon or something. Like, I mean,
Hey,
hey, we were talking a lot of shit about QT Marshall not too long ago.
and again, I'm not talking shit about them. I'm
No,
not. I have no opinion on them. I just want to know who they are. And if they're great and I see one of their matches, fucking fantastic. I really hope, just from what I'm seeing, this is one of those teams that gets so popular and is pushed by the crowd alone that they win some gold. I love
yeah,
stories like that. So if they're great, cool. I'm a fan of them. I just want to know where do they come from? Please,
yeah.
somebody
they
tell me.
they come from if they're Outlanders, they're from the land down under, right?
Outrunners.
Yeah. What do they outrun? Like,
Anywho,
are they just
teamed with
faster than
Cassidy.
everybody?
They
Is that why they're
teamed
the
with
Outrunners?
Cassidy and O'Reilly to defeat the Dark Order, who cannot decide if they're babyface or heel. And the Premier Athletes. All I gotta say about that is Davari and Nice. How better are you off now than you were in WWE?
You're not. I mean, you're not.
I mean, I like those guys. I'm just saying, weren't they teaming in WWE? And then everyone was like, "Oh, you're not doing anything with Nice. You're not doing anything with Nice." Okay, so he went to AEW, and he's still teaming with Davari. Again,
hmm
I like both of those guys. I just,
they're just bodies on the roster. But
yeah,
in any
good for
regard,
them. They're earning a paycheck.
you get to the main show here in the Tacoma Dome, and you open up with, in a vacuum, it seems like a pretty good match here. Hangman Adam Page versus Switchblade Jay White. Now, on paper, this seems like an amazing matchup, but
And it was.
I beg the question, Tomas, what the fuck was the story going into it? Was it just to get these guys on pay-per-view? Like,
Jay White had just come back from injury. He returned on an
mhm.
episode of Dynamite, I think, to confront Paige. I mean, I'm gonna have to be honest with you guys. Since All Out, I have been watching very little of AEW. It's kind of been something I've been falling in and out of. So if my lack of knowledge for these storylines upset you, I'm sorry. I I'm trying to understand this too. So
Fair
if we're
enough.
just two stupid chimpanzees that don't know our ass from our elbow, please feel free to educate us in the comments section. We're just here to talk about good wrestling.
So, basically, per our friend in a group chat, and I quote, the story is that Hangman injured him, and Jay White came back to avenge both himself and Juice Robinson after Hangman choked him out during a lumberjack match. And then Tomas
That's right.
responded, that no one remembers. That no one remembers.
Because now that you bring that up, I do recall Hangman Adam Page and Jeff Jarrett got into a little TV feud, and that ended in a lumberjack.
That would have made so
strap
much
match.
more sense. That would have made so
Yeah.
much more sense to do here. But
A lumberjack
Anyway.
strap match. That sounds like the most 2006 TNA ass idea. That's why Jeff Jarrett probably pitched it. Nothing against the King of the Mountain. Love you, man. But yeah, it was in that match where Hangman Adam Page choked out Juice Robinson, and then Jay White came out to make the save. It's cool to see Jay White. It's cool to see Jay White be a babyface, and it's cool to see Jay White on pay-per-view because we talked about this back at, was it the last WrestleDream?
I don't even fucking remember, man. It's
Or
been a
was it
long time
Full Gear?
since
I
we've
think
had
it
a
was
Jay
Full
White
Gear.
match.
It was
Was-
Full Gear where Jay White challenged MJF for the AEW World
Was
Championship.
it really? He's been out for that long?
Yeah. No,
Man.
not like off TV, but the last time he felt relevant on a pay-per-view, not in a trios tag team title match. And
Again,
it was on that pay-per-view where Jay White was the mastermind heel going into the main event, and he got punked out by a man with one arm and one leg who was on the brink of death, still got punked out by MJF, losing the match. And we all called it there that was going to be the decline of Jay White. But here he is. I think he's in a good spot here. And I just want things to get better for this guy because he's really fucking good. And this was a really good match.
it was. And he's up against Hangman Page, who I think is still the best character AEW has right now. Him and his Red Dead Redemption music and his look and his
Which is
scary
so
cowboy aura. I love it. I love it. The fact that he basically killed Swerve Strickland in the main event of the last pay-per-view. Just despicable heinous human being, this Hangman Adam Page. My favorite iteration of him.
And I think this goes to show for both men, especially with Hangman Adam Page, when you have such a huge moment in victory over a rival like that and one of the most sadistic matches we can remember, how do we keep Hangman Adam Page's momentum going? Because with a gimmick and a storyline that strong coming off of, you got to keep propelling the guy. And I'm going to say this right now. I want to see the AEW World Championship. I want this Hangman Adam Page to hold the AEW World Championship.
I do too.
Sometime down the line.
I do too. Now, I understand why right now that's not the story for Hangman Page. And I understand that there's another big bad that's holding the belt right now. But again, Hangman Adam Page just had this, like, one of the most violent main events we've ever seen in our lives. And this is his follow-up. He's jerking the curtain with Jay White, a man who he put out of commission for a while. And the fact that a lot of people don't really remember that. I don't know. I don't know. It's just interesting.
I don't want to say this is a bad spot for him on the card. I think having the opener is great so we can turn up the heat. But my thing is, I think they just have to keep him booked consistently, because who's to say he doesn't have this gimmick 1 year down the line? I think he could keep running with this for a very long time. And in a year when the landscape is different, put the world title on him. What I don't want to see is 6 months down the line, he turns back into babyface and he's doing something completely unrelated. You got to keep this momentum going with him.
Yeah.
Jay White. I really like this match. It was really fast paced.
Vicious.
Yeah, very
too.
Vicious.
Yeah, Jay White took a powerbomb on the apron, which is the hardest part of the ring, in case you didn't know. In addition to the steel steps, which is big owie there. White and Page they're exchanging just really, really nice Snapdragon suplexes. Page with a great counter into the Deadeye. Page was really doing a great job of selling a left knee injury that Jay White was exploiting throughout this contest. He tries to go for the buckshot, but the steel cage prevented him from doing it at the last pay-per-view. This time, a knee injury prevents him from doing it, which I think is honestly a pretty subtly nice way to protect the buckshot in a sense, because you know that when he hits that clothesline, it's game over. It is game over. So I'm glad he didn't hit a buckshot in this match. I'm glad there weren't too many finisher kickouts, because Jay White then suddenly hits his Sister Abigail finisher and then pins.
Blade Runner. That's
he
a
pins.
Cool name.
Yeah, he pins Hangman Adam Page, which again in a vacuum it's a good match, but Hangman Page should have won this. I feel like Hangman Page 1,000% should have beaten Jay White here. If you wanted.
I understand, but at the same time, we just talked about Jay White. This is the first real one-on-one pay-per-view match he's had in a while. And I think it's good to give Jay White the momentum. Who's to say Hangman Adam Page doesn't come back and get a win over him? I don't necessarily think losing means, that's the be-all, end-all of your gimmick. I do understand both aspects. So it looks like the feud is more leaning towards Adam Page and Juice Robinson, which 100% Page should go over Robinson. But I do think this was one of those matches where either way, it was a good outcome. Yeah.
And I'm not saying that Jay White not winning was bad, or good rather. Because Jay White honestly is probably regretting his decision not signing with WWE at this point with where he is on the card. I'm just hoping that consistently both guys can be pushed to a level that, we can see them both as huge stars, because both of them are world champion material here.
Oh yeah, I 100% agree. And to go off of that, because I was in the crowd, this was embarrassing. The following Wednesday on Dynamite, Jay White main evented Dynamite with Christian Cage. And so I think the finish was supposed to be Kip Sabian was supposed to distract the referee, which caused Hangman Adam Page to run in and cost Jay White the match. But there was a miscommunication, because Hangman came out and distracted the referee, and then Sabian tried to distract the referee. So Hangman Adam Page ran away, and then they basically redid the spot, and we were all so very, very, very confused with what was going on. So
nice.
Yeah, it was weird. It felt like if this was a taped show, they would have just redid the spot altogether. Because you ever be in the audience for one of those taped moments where they have to redo it? It's very weird. It's like being on set for a live television show taping.
Every time Max Caster fucks up his rap and he has to start over.
Yeah.
Let's do it again. Let's do it again.
There was one time I was at a SmackDown where Big Show was supposed to come out and beat Chase off the core with the chair, but he forgot to use the chair.
Oh,
so
God.
they made him redo his whole entrance and do the whole spot again just so we could hit someone with the chair. Again, it's very awkward, and I'm so glad we're past the days of taped WWE because it's very weird.
Tomas, Tomas just made me remember the core, and now I'm very sad indeed. I'm gonna give this match. I don't know, man. I'm leaning towards 3 3/4.
This is a very solid opener because
yeah,
regardless of everything, this was a fun match. It got the crowd going. It was a very hot opener, and it just really set the tone for the rest of the show.
And two really good wrestlers having a match together, which is what AEW is known for. Not necessarily known for their storytelling, but they're known for their wrestling. But up next, speaking of wrestling, women's wrestling specifically.
This was a very fun match. Willow Nightingale challenging Mariah May for the AEW Women's World Championship. Willow Nightingale won a 4-way match on Dynamite against Saraya, what's her face, Nyla Rose, and one other person that I can't remember, unfortunately. I was trying so hard to remember, but Willow Nightingale won. I think Britt Baker. Yeah, Britt Baker. She defeated those 3 women to get this championship match. I was nervous going into this because, Nightingale dropped the TBS title to Mercedes Moné. She lost the street fight against Chris Statlander. It was very obvious she was being put in the role of, here's a really good contender, but, it's a foregone conclusion. She's not going to win the championship here. But despite that, this match was really good. And it was really fun because Willow Nightingale is such an endearing babyface that she has that great underdog aura that it was so fun. And by the end of it, you wanted to see her win the championship. And there was a couple of moments where I'm like, she might pull this off. She really is AEW's Bayley.
Yeah, no, you took the words right out of my mouth. I was just about to say the same thing. Just really, really good transitions between the two ladies. They have some really solid chemistry. I wouldn't mind seeing this match over and over again. Like if you want to do like a best of 7 series if you wanted to. Willow is actually surprisingly a good submission specialist too with Indian Deathlock. Yeah.
Willow Nightingale has the fighting spirit of Bayley, but she has the fighting style of Piper Niven.
Yeah, dude. Oh, like again, I don't want to
compare.
Yeah,
Willow Nightingale on her own is fucking fantastic, but we don't see a lot of lady hosses. But I think Piper Niven and Willow Nightingale are like 2 of the best. Not sounding like Rhea Ripley because she's the walking definition of a hoss.
Yeah, dude. Like Mariah May also. Like, can I just say that she's a freaking superstar? Like in every sense of the word. Like she carries herself so well. And to be honest, like ever since she won this title, like thank God she feels like the world champion at this point. Because notice how you don't have Mercedes Moné on this show overtaking, a bigger spotlight than Mariah. Like, and you know what another thing is, like, not to dwell too deep on Mercedes at this point because she wasn't on the show, but I think I figured it out about her. She is AEW's Russell Wilson. She really is, Remember when Russell Wilson left Seattle and, Pete Carroll was trying to protect Russell Wilson from himself all those years, and then he left to go to Denver, and Russell was just a complete shit? Like, that's kind of what I feel like now, So
Mariah May, she truly is not just another pretty face.
No.
It's very hard to describe. Her technical prowess in the ring is just something to behold. And I feel like casual fans don't know that she made her name in Japan.
Yeah.
Like, she is a Japanese wrestler to the nth degree. And I just think the way she works these matches is such in a technical way that a lot of people don't notice and appreciate.
Let's just say that she has superstardom written all over her, huh?
Damn,
see what I did there? See what I did there?
She should wrestle Mercedes Moné.
Yeah,
another great Japanese star.
Winner take all. Winner take all.
I just called Mercedes Moné a great Japanese star.
Yeah, but Mercedes is not Japanese, obviously. Mariah May hits the Mayday Slam, which is a very impressive feat, especially on Willow Nightingale for a nice near fall there. Willow starts making her comeback, Death Valley Driver into a turnbuckle. Willow, and then, so both women are on the top, right? And Willow's going for this big, heaping avalanche powerbomb. Mariah counters it into a stratosphere, like Hurricane Rana off the top, and I'm like, yes! Yes! Another great female athlete here, you know?
Such a great spot. And I couldn't help but notice a sign in the crowd that said, more women's wrestling. Yes. Mm-hmm. Matches like these make me want more women's wrestling.
11 minutes.
I love all women's wrestling, but this is just one of those matches. It's like, these ladies can fucking go, and I want more of it. I wish we had a mainstream version of Stardom in the States. I want Evolution to give us some more women's wrestling, goddammit.
Yeah. I want the Evolution pay-per-view to come back, too.
Exactly. I want Evolution 2.
So
Evolution should be a thing every year. Let's make that clear right now.
Every year.
Should be a thing every fucking year.
Let's fucking do it. I'm down. May with that Hurricane Rana, of course, and then she hits the Storm Zero on Willow Nightingale. Give me more of those stolen finishers, baby. And she pins her after an 11-minute match, which is fairly quick. But again, when you have a 32-33 match card like AEW always has for these pay-per-views, you got to wrap it up pretty quickly. You got to go home. But yeah, Mariah retains the title. You know, good showing for both ladies. I'm going to give it 3.5. It was a pretty solid match, you know.
You know what I would love? I would absolutely love this.
More matches.
Willow Nightingale. Well, yeah. It just goes on this honesty for the next year. Just having great matches, whether in defeat or having victories. I want her to circle back and beat Mercedes Moné for that fucking TBS title.
Please. Please, man. Like, I would love that more than anything.
Feel-good moment of the year.
Yes, it would. Yes, it certainly would. But speaking of television championships, man, it feels like this TNT title has really fallen off the high horse since Adam Copeland went down with a broken leg. Jack Perry is defending his custom championship, which is made out of the tears that he cried a river of. It's going up against Katsuyori Shibata, whose gimmick is the wrestler. Why the fuck is that his gimmick? Why is he called the wrestler?
Everybody's actual gimmick.
Everybody's a wrestler.
It took a while to grow on me, but I fucking love how he uses the Google text-to-speech.
Yes.
To cut all of his promos. And I look at that and I go, why isn't every single Japanese wrestler doing this? It's like Shibata was like, you know what? I can't speak English and I'm not going to try to. So I'm just going to do this. But the build to this pay-per-view, it was really funny. So Perry arrives to an episode of Dynamite, and Shibata just walks straight up to him in the parking lot, holds his phone up, presses the button, and says, "You, me, WrestleDream for the TNT Championship." Perry says, "You have your match." Once Renee Paquette is going to interview Shibata about the match, Perry attacks Shibata from behind, and then you make the sudden realization that this motherfucker Shibata walks around with his cell phone and not a case.
Yeah.
And you just see that cell phone just like smack the concrete, and I'm just going, Shibata, that is your main method of communication, and now it's shattered.
He took his voice away.
You ever drop your iPhone on cement? That thing's fucking done for.
Yep.
I hope Shibata learned his lesson.
Yeah.
And put a case on his phone.
No, better yet, he better have gotten a new phone. Otherwise, he doesn't have a gimmick anymore. He's just a wrestler. But anyway,
understand him.
Stiff match here. It didn't go very long. Shibata, of course, is. Let me see. This was only 9 minutes. 9 minutes. Yeah, about as long as
9 minutes.
About as long as Angle, Orton, and Mysterio at WrestleMania 22. By the way, just throwing that out there.
Great matches.
No, this one I didn't really think was all that spectacular. Because
but I think it was still good. I like the story they were telling within the match. Again, it was very strike heavy. Perry, you know what? This guy is growing on me. He is no slouch. He looks like he looked like he was hanging in there very good with Shibata. They were hitting some stiff kicks on each other, and I think my favorite spot of the match is when Shibata just, he was getting up and Perry started hitting him with the kicks, and Shibata was like, "Is that the best you got?"
Yeah.
Come on, do it again and again and again, and then Shibata just kicks him right in the fucking chest and takes him down.
Yeah, well, Perry's also got to remember that Shibata almost died in the middle of the squared circle with a cracked skull. So that's a tough SOB, man.
Tony
And
Schiavone actually brings this up on commentary as the match is about to begin. Can you believe that injury was 7 years ago?
no, no, I
And
can't
the
believe that,
fact that
dude.
Shibata is still wrestling at the level that he is. But I think this match is a prime example of Shibata had to really change up his style since coming back. Again, this match was very strike heavy. You weren't going to see a lot of suplexes, a lot of DDTs because this man has to be careful how he bumps.
Yeah, and yeah, Shibata, stiff ass worker, good opponent for Jack Perry, who the scapegoat gimmick. Listen, it may not be for everybody, but I think I figured it out what this is. This scapegoat gimmick is what would have happened if you took the promo ability away from Raven back in the day. Because think about it,
Yeah.
his pose that he does on the apron, he looks like the second coming of Raven from ECW. It is so weird, so damn weird,
The
and
gimmick is growing on me.
not.
Like the entrance is growing on me. The mask, like it's like Perry's finally coming into his own as a
Yeah,
professional wrestler,
yeah.
and I kind of love it.
Not gonna sit here and say because Raven rubs people the wrong way too, but I'm not saying that Perry is anywhere near the level of what Raven was in his heyday. But it's it's entertaining enough. People, I mean, as long as he doesn't keep pulling out real glass and taking shots at CM Punk like every 2 months, like I'm fine with it.
Also, I'm kind of ready to see Perry on his own. I feel like when he's with the Bucks, it's kind of cringe, but then I see him on his own in matches like this, the match he had with Danielson, and I think he's fine on his own.
Every match that he's had as a singles guy, I've really enjoyed. Like when he was a babyface, especially that cage match with Luchasaurus a couple years ago was fucking awesome. His match with MJF during the pandemic was fucking awesome. Like I miss that the final burial with Christian. That match was a lot of fun. So I want that Jack Perry back, man. But
And you know what? I actually really dug this finish. So Shibata
I
slapped
did it.
on the
I
sleeper
did
hold,
it. Oh,
and Perry is fighting through the sleeper hold. He's able to lay back and cover Shibata while he's still at the submission hold to get the win and retain the title. And okay, let's clear this up right now. I think I know why you don't like this match. It kind of makes Shibata look like an idiot because any
yep.
submission specialist should know that if your shoulders are down, you're going to be down for the count. This is where I don't mind it. Okay, I didn't mind it in the way that after the match, the fans were fucking livid.
Oh, they were
Shibata
pissed.
lost the match that way.
They
And
were
I think
pissed.
That's just really. I think that should be a sign to Tony Khan to keep pushing Shibata because if he's getting that sort of support from the crowd, that's going to want the crowd is showing they want to see more of Shibata, and I think that just gave Perry the heat that he needed. He got a bullshit fucking win over one of the best wrestlers in Japan. And if you really didn't like that match, then you need to go on social media and you need to scream at Tony Khan, rematch, rematch, rematch.
Yeah.
And maybe Shibata will be the guy to take the TNT off of Perry.
But he's not going to be. He's not going to be. That's not where the story is going.
Get that crowd reaction.
Yeah.
If they were dead, crickets didn't care, then you know what? Fine. Sorry, Shibata, you're not the guy. But I was actually very shocked that the fans were that fucking livid that Shibata lost.
Yeah, well, that was number one. And number two, like, it's funny that you say that because ironically, this crowd was dead quiet for a lot of this match, pretty much because I'm sure a lot of people didn't think Shibata had a snowball's chance in hell to beat Jack Perry here. Like, that's just what I think. But with that in mind, I'm going to go 2 3/4. The match wasn't bad. But certainly not the strongest match on the show. And the shortest match on the show at only 9 minutes with kind of a bullshit finish and a submission specialist looking mighty dumb. Yeah, I mean, there could have been better matches than this, for sure.
I'll match your 2 3/4, and I do understand your criticism of the match, but I really liked the emotion it invoked out of the crowd. Again, when you get a genuine reaction out of the crowd, I think that just says nothing but good things. Again, if they were just sitting on their hands and didn't react to that finish at all, I'd be like, it was just another match. But I did enjoy the fans getting so pissed off that Shibata lost. Hell, I was kind of pissed off he lost.
More proof that this wrestling fan base is full of callous pricks. And all of us want to see us like, oh yeah, we want to be miserable. I want to see people like get pissed off at a finish. Like,
hey, what can I say? Sheer emotion.
Yeah.
Regardless, It's like what John Cena always said. It doesn't matter if you're cheering me or you're booing me. You're not getting a snack during my matches. You're not going to the bathroom. You're not, texting on your phone. Your attention is on me. And I think,
Exactly.
yeah, Cena, there's a reason why they call Cena the Allen Iverson of WWE, because regardless, everybody had an opinion of him.
Yep.
And I think that's what every wrestler should strive for.
That's the name of the game, man. But yeah, speaking of wrestling, speaking of the name of the game, let's talk about this match of the night. Easily, far and away the best thing all show.
A three-way match for the AEW International Championship. Will Ospreay defends against the one and only Ricochet and Konosuke Takeshita, the Alpha.
Yeah, dude. Okay, in a vacuum, once again, you're going to notice a theme in this. This was a fantastic three-way, but it's way too fucking early to put Ospreay and Ricochet in the ring together. And I know it's way too late. Like, it's like just me yelling at a wall here. But I said this on the last AEW podcast. You book a long-term feud between Ospreay and Ricochet, and it's fucking money. You put Ospreay and Ricochet in the ring on free TV and give Ricochet the exact same arc that every ex-WWE guy has had over the last year. Just give him a title shot after a month of Tony Khan playing with his new toy, and he loses the title shot. There's nowhere else for Ricochet to go. And it's really pissing me off now. Like, Ricochet is a stud. He's a stud. He should be like one of the top tier guys in this company. Like,
a part of me really wants to agree with you, but at the same time, I have noticed they are protecting Ricochet in a way. Let's go back to how this feud started. So we finally got the match everyone was pining for. And the minute Ricochet signed with AEW, they've teased it backstage. They've teased it, in ring segments.
Should have been a revolution.
Finally gives an international championship match to Ricochet. They go out there and fucking kill it. They actually get a double pin and the match goes to a draw. But both Ospreay and Ricochet look at each other, look at the ref and go, 5 more minutes. Come on. We don't want this match to end this way. But then Konosuke Takeshita runs in and fucks it up for both of them and inserts himself into this feud. And not to give away the finish of this match so early, but Ricochet mentions this on Dynamite the following Wednesday. He did not get pinned in the one-on-one match, and he did not get pinned in the three-way. And he said, hell, I haven't been pinned at all since coming to AEW. So
fair enough.
Wanting to hold it off, but I think the more you held it off, it was the real elephant in the room. The minute Ricochet stepped in, 2 reactions. Holy shit, it's Ricochet. When are we going to get Ricochet and Ospreay?
It was
Those guys really lit up the indie scene when they were doing what they were doing.
I know. A buddy of mine in college showed me that viral video of the Ospreay Ricochet match from 2016, and I was just blown away. Didn't know who those guys were at the time, and I was like, oh my god, these guys are incredible.
I think Ricochet has a brother named Prince Puma that was in Lucha Underground. He was pretty cool too.
You son of a bitch. But anyway, I get what you're saying, but I am a huge advocate for long-term storytelling, and I know how effective long-term storytelling is when it comes to telling, getting a great match out of people. I think Tony Khan just couldn't wait. He couldn't wait, man.
You need to strike when the iron's hot too, and I do think this is kind of where Tony Khan's overzealousness kind of helped him, because I will ask you this: if they didn't do it now and they waited and waited and waited, what was Ricochet going to do in between then? Feud with Jericho? We don't want to see that. Feud with another champion where he can lose? We don't want to see that.
Do exactly what Will Ospreay said, was to start winning matches. Let Ricochet start racking them up one by one until he finally gets to Ospreay. That's what I think. That's what I think. And if that does involve him beating Chris Jericho in a good 15-minute match, so be it. So be it. Don't give me that match right away. I could have waited. But
I just, in my opinion, which may be the polar opposite of what you wanted, I didn't want to see a three-way. What I wanted to see, considering the match went to a double fall, which reminded me, very reminiscent of like Chris Benoit and Booker T, and that Tony Schiavone really went out of his way on that Dynamite to mention that Ricochet and Ospreay have faced each other 13 times, and Ospreay is up 7-6. The minute I heard that and I saw that finish, I thought, best of 7 series. Come on. You got to have a best of 7 series between these guys.
Indeed, indeed, man. But this three-way, oh man, it was something else, wasn't it? It was a
It was so fucking good.
beautiful display of pro wrestling. Ospreay and Ricochet very early on do their flippy dippy shit, and they do their like superhero landings and do the stare down. But Konosuke Takeshita just comes in and breaks up that superhero landing right away. He doesn't want any of that bullshit. Like,
This was the definition of eye candy. I was just sitting there giddy watching this match from start to finish. One of my favorite spots in the match. So they set up a table on the outside, and I did get a little upset over that because I'm just like, do we need a table spot in this? But I had to be reminded this is no different than WWE doing an announced table spot in every big match they have. So I let that go. So Ricochet goes for a tope suicida, I believe, and Takeshita catches him, flips him into a tombstone pile driver position. But then I
oh, it
notice
was
he's
so
wrapping
cool.
his arms around his legs, and then he jumps up and just drives Ricochet through the table. And I sat there and I went, "What do you even call that?" Oh, I know what you call it. He fucking killed him. He
Yeah.
fucking killed him.
He fucking killed him. We witnessed murder on the second straight AEW pay-per-view here. Ricochet, by the way, hits, he's getting Blue Thunder Bomb hit on him. I don't know how Konosuke Takeshita hasn't learned that the Blue Thunder Bomb never fucking works as a finisher because people always kick out of it. Will Ospreay,
Like that, so.
yeah, Will Ospreay hits a phenomenal looking Styles Clash for a 2 count because Takeshita,
great fucking spot.
yeah, wasn't it? Will Ospreay, I was telling,
Takeshita,
yeah,
I forgot what move Takeshita went for, but then Ospreay just counters into a super kick, into a pop-up power bomb straight into the Styles Clash, and I'm like, this is why Ospreay's my favorite wrestler in AEW right now.
Ospreay. I was telling another friend of mine this. But Will Ospreay, I am fully convinced, is the best bell-to-bell wrestler in the world right now. Nobody else can fucking touch him. He is, like, the reason to tune into AEW TV right now. He needs to be what Cody Rhodes is to WWE right now, and he needs to be the babyface of AEW and the centerpiece franchise player of AEW. That's what I think.
So impressed with his level of consistency. Never have I seen a wrestler that can go this string of matches that he's had, and every single one of them is so fucking good. Like, I'm literally just sitting there, like, in the back of my mind, going like, one of these days you're gonna have a stinker.
This man, yeah, that's impossible. I'm convinced it's impossible. It's like thinking Gunther's gonna have a bad match. Will Ospreay is allergic to bad matches.
It's like saying Gordon Ramsay's gonna cook you a bad meal.
Yeah, exactly.
You can put a gun up to Ospreay's head and say, "Have a bad wrestling match," and he'd be like, "Sorry, bro, can't do it."
Sorry, bro, bro. Would you be intimidated by a man who calls himself the Billy Goat?
Hang your head in shame.
Yeah, he has to think about that. He really has to think about that. Ricochet also, let's not sleep on freaking Ricochet, man. He's hitting some great shooting star presses off the top. Takeshita, to your point, kills Ricochet dead on the outside with that tombstone pile driver through that table. But then this is where it kind of gets interesting. Ospreay.
There was another spot I wanted to talk about real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
So Takeshita goes for a pin, and Ricochet breaks it up with a 450 splash, goes for the cover on Ospreay, and the ref counts it 2. Right as Ospreay kicks out, Takeshita just springs to life. And it was just like, that was such great syncopation. And Tony Schiavone made a great call saying that, Don Callis said, I don't even think Takeshita knows where he is. And to me, I looked at that and I go, Takeshita was going off of sheer instinct, and he wanted to break up that pin, but it was pointless because Ospreay kicked out. But it just goes to show how, like, in syncopation these 3 guys were. And again,
it was great.
Again, Takeshita is the fucking man.
Well, clearly he is now, isn't he? So Ospreay, towards the close of the match, goes for that hidden blade, and he actually hits it on Takeshita, but he only gets a near fall because that motherfucker who is at the announce table the entire time, Don Callis, pulls the referee out, and the crowd starts chanting, "Fuck you, Callis," as is tradition every time they see him on pay-per-view.
On Dynamite, the crowd was booing him so loudly that I had no fucking idea what he said in the ring.
Good. Yeah, that man fucking deserves it, right?
I want him. I want a meme of him and Dominic Mysterio shaking hands and saying, "Getting nuclear heat with the crowd."
Yeah, so Callis.
I want Don Callis to manage Dominic Mysterio. Those boos are going to be so deafening.
Oh,
someone's going to blow an eardrum. Someone's not going to be able to hear anymore after that segment.
Man, don't tempt me with a good time. Callis then tries to go for a screwdriver shot on Will. He blocks it. Will is a sick fuck who goes for the Tiger Driver 91. Does he not know that he almost ended Bryan Danielson's career 6 months ago with that move?
Does he not know that it's very irresponsible to let a Tiger drive?
You son of a bitch. Will Ospreay goes for that Tiger Driver, but then Et tu, Brute, he is literally stabbed in the back with a screwdriver by Kyle Fletcher, who has joined
former United Empire teammate.
He's joined the Don Callis family, and the announcers are scolding him. Will Ospreay can't believe it. Takeshita then takes advantage of the situation. I believe he hit his finisher on him, didn't he? Yeah,
I think so, which I'm sorry, I kind of forgot what Takeshita's finisher is.
Yeah, well, he just hit a running knee, right? He just hit a running knee on Will.
That's right, yeah.
And then Takeshita covers Ospreay after a glorious 21 minutes, and Konosuke Takeshita is the new international champion. I did not think they would pull the trigger on him. He seems like the odd man out between Ospreay and Ricochet, but they did it. They did it, man. And Tony Khan finally fucking remembered who Takeshita actually is. The man who pinned Kenny Omega 2 straight pay-per-views in the span of 2 weeks. Clean.
Yeah, no, in the span of 1 week.
Clean.
Yeah,
clean.
All in and all out. It was the Takeshita show.
Amazing that he finally fucking remembered who he is. But they leave with his belt, and Will Ospreay is just dead on the canvas. Ricochet is dead through the table, and the Callis family is growing ever stronger, isn't it? I'm gonna give it 4.5 stars. This is a beautiful 3-way match. Really freaking enjoyed it.
4 3/4. I thought it was an absolute amazing match from start to finish, and the storytelling was excellent, and I thought the finish was just crafted ever so beautifully.
Yeah, and then after the match, Fletcher, let's not forget, also gave Will Ospreay the Tiger Driver 91 inside the ring. So, looked devastating. I can't wait to see him and Fletcher tear it up. Probably in Full Gear is what I'm guessing. That's what I'm thinking, is where they have the grudge match.
Do you think this is Will Ospreay's climb back to the International Championship?
No.
Or do we think it's time for him to start the climb to the World Championship?
It's time. It's time to propel him to the world title. Unless...
You know what this reminds me of?
Go ahead.
It reminds me of when John Cena lost the United States title in 2005. The U.S. title became so synonymous with John Cena that you were so mad when he lost it, but at the same time, it was not a good opportunity for him to go back to the United States Championship, but the bigger payoff and the bigger prize was the WWE Championship, which he ended up winning from JBL, the man who cost him the U.S. title in the first place.
Yeah, and honestly, Ospreay losing AEW's basically their most prestigious mid-card championship belt at this point, once he loses that, now he can move on up to the main event. And honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up being the guy to dethrone our current world champion, but we'll see how that shakes out. But it was really, really beautiful triple threat here. Probably one of the best of the entire year, if you ask me. I can't really think of any other triple threat matches better than this one from this year, but really, really good stuff.
This
really
was
good stuff.
Best 3-way in AEW since Kenny Omega, Orange Cassidy, and Pac from Double or Nothing 2021.
Oh, so good, man. It was so damn good. I don't know if I liked this more than that one, but it was still definitely up there.
Well, no, I can't say that because I gave the 3-way 5 stars.
Yeah.
But they were both very excellent. Off the top of my head, I'm thinking of what are my favorite 3-ways of all time. These two, Edge, Danielson, and Roman Reigns from WrestleMania 37. One of your favorites is Rock, Taker, Angle from Vengeance 2002.
Yes, sir.
I really liked Ray, Angle, and Orton from Mania 22.
Too short.
Danielson, Batista, Randy Orton from WrestleMania 30. That's a good retrospective to go down. What are our favorite triple threats of all time? Because
there's a lot of them.
Those are probably like 5 that come off the top of my head. And
Hunter,
then, of course,
Hunter,
Michaels,
Sean, and
like
Benoit, yeah. Yeah, Hunter, Sean, and Benoit is another one. Yeah, there's a lot of really good ones out there, but this one is certainly up there with the best of them. But we do have a couple of promos to get into before our next matchup. And let's actually, for the first one, let's back up a little bit, shall we? I'm pulling my best Dave Skylark impression there again. So, after the TNT Championship match, Jack Perry is in the ring, and he's going to beat down Shibata a little bit more. But then out comes Daniel Garcia, the man who is going to take the TNT Championship from him. I'm fully convinced because...
How the hell did we forget about that?
Shame
on us.
Shame on us indeed. Yeah, so Danny Garcia runs out and he confronts Jack Perry. Perry runs away like a scalded dog to go cry me a river. And then what we get is the return of MJF. Haven't seen him since All Out. Danny Garcia put him out with a spike pile driver so MJF could go and film Happy Gilmore 2.
That's a crazy statement to say.
I'm not shitting you. I am not shitting you. MJF is playing Adam Sandler's brother in that movie, which is fucking wild. Good for him. Good for him for knowing his... for preserving his body as long as he is. And, like, you know, he still loves the wrestling business enough so that he can go and shoot movies for a little bit.
Also, this is going to be a random side note, but a random sidebar, but also good on Adam Sandler for being a Jewish man and going, if I'm going to have a brother in this movie, it has to be another Jewish guy.
And not Rob Schneider, you know, like he would have in 2006, you know?
Yeah, that's actually pretty cool when you think about it.
Yeah. I mean,
not to think Adam Sandler isn't a complete fucking idiot.
Yeah, I mean, he's not. He's not. He's put out a couple of fun movies that I grew up with. The Longest Yard is one of them. The Waterboy, Click.
Oh, yeah. I mean, anything post-90s, though, like, you're going to
Happy Gilmore. Happy Gilmore. Yeah.
You're going to sit there and tell me Pixels is a good movie.
No, I wasn't going to tell you that. It's a piece of shit. But MJF...
Uncut Gems, which is a beautiful... That movie's a masterpiece.
So good. MJF then starts beating the crap out of Danny Garcia here. And he is about to put him down with the Dynamite Diamond ring that he found when Adam Cole's music hits, of all people, and the crowd loses it. Adam Cole we haven't seen since Double or Nothing, I want to say. When MJF, as a babyface, wrote Adam Cole off as a heel, but now MJF has turned into a heel again, into a scumbag. Now Adam Cole is back as a hero. Number one, where does this leave the Undisputed Kingdom? They're kind of afterthoughts. And number two, Adam Cole's the heel. Adam Cole's been the bad guy in this situation, man.
Well, let me get this straight. Let's go down memory lane, shall we?
Yeah. Let's do it.
This feud started because MJF and Adam Cole wrestled to a 30-minute draw, and MJF refused to keep the match going, and Adam Cole wanted the AEW Championship. Then they were put together in the Tag Team Lottery Tournament, became best friends. MJF turned face, and then they fought for the World Championship at the end, the main event of All In, just for at WrestleDream when MJF dropped the title, to have Adam Cole be the one who attacked everybody and was playing the devil. And then prior to that, Adam Cole injured himself during MJF's world title match at Grand Slam. So they go through all of that. MJF returns, gets his revenge on Adam Cole, but then Adam Cole is out for an undisclosed amount of time. So they turn MJF back into a heel, and we're just supposed to forget what Adam Cole did to MJF. We're supposed to forget about that.
Because MJF is a justified heel now. But I'm like, Jesus Christ.
Is he though?
No.
Is he though? Not really. I want to look at this strictly as a kayfabe. Strictly in kayfabe, because I don't want to hear the excuse of, oh, MJF is a better heel. Yes, but in the story, you know what? Let's take it back more. Let's go back to the Attitude Era. Stone Cold Steve Austin versus The Rock always worked better when Austin was a face and Rock was a heel. Sure, they did it the other way around in 2001, and even though the moment was crazy, it didn't work.
Yeah.
And in this instance, as crazy as this sounds, you can't just flip everything on a dime just because this way to you works. And I do understand that this dynamic probably works better, but you already went through all of the build, all of the trouble of setting it up the way that it did. You can't just flip the script again and expect us to be okay with it. That's like in the third act of Avengers Infinity War. You just decided to say, oh, well, now Captain America's the bad guy and Thanos is the good guy.
Yeah, no, that's like if in Infinity War, Cap suddenly screamed "Hail Hydra." Like,
Yeah,
that doesn't work. That doesn't work.
it's
That
just,
doesn't work for me, brother. That
I'm
doesn't work.
sure the feud in a vacuum now, if you got hit in the head and got amnesia and you forgot everything that happened prior to December of last year, sure, maybe, you went into a coma and you missed the whole Adam Cole and MJF feud. And then you woke up last weekend, saw this happen, and sure, from here going forward, it should be a fine feud. But when you know the backstory, it's like you can't just flip it on a dime like that. And that's what's really going to be bugging me throughout this feud. And I'm sure we're not the only ones. Everybody, we're not idiots. We know what's happened in the past year. It's just going to be awkward.
Yeah, very much so. But so good to see Adam Cole back. Maybe he'll finally follow through on his plan that he told me at WrestleCon about a year and a half ago when he said the plan was, I told him I can't wait to see him win the title. And he's like, that's the plan, brother. I want to see you win the title, man. Like, when's it coming, Jugs?
Decide to meet him again in Vegas, I guarantee he's going to say it's still part of the plan. Trust the process.
Trust the process. Trust the process. Or, like, if I met Cody Rhodes, he would say, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Yeah. I'm sure
we got to finish this. We got to finish this. But anyway, so good to see him back.
That being said, we're on to the next match. And you know what?
Whoa. Not yet. We had another promo. Swerve Strickland.
Here.
Yes.
This happened after. So
yeah.
This was being built up as Swerve Strickland's not only his return, but his decision as well. Since All Out, we got a couple of debuts. First of all, Montel Vontavious Porter, MVP, is now All Elite. And you know what MVP does best? He recruits. He created the Beatdown Clan in TNA. He created the Hurt Business in WWE. And he even said it in this promo, which I thought was a great bit of foreshadowing, that he likes to take people that he knows can be better, who he knows can be world champion, and he wants to, make them that great. So over the past couple of weeks, he knows that Swerve Strickland's out, and he's telling Prince Nana, I want Swerve Strickland in my new group. And there was this great segment where Nana confronted MVP, and MVP says, I'm not the HR department. Let me introduce you to the HR department. And it's this great camera pan to Shelton fucking Benjamin, who is now in AEW.
And it's so great to finally see this man get his flowers, especially in this segment, because Swerve comes out and he gets the hometown pop, even though he's an LA Rams fan, a freaking traitor in Washington
Before
State.
You get into that, when MVP went on his spiel of what he does with wrestlers, that was a big heaping scoop of foreshadowing straight to Lashley. Because if you hear what he said about what he did, that's exactly what he did in Lashley in WWE. Lashley was doing absolutely nothing in 2020. He came off of that horrendous feud with Miro. He kicked Lana to the curb. So MVP went up to him and said, I know you, Lashley. I know you can be world champion. Let's turn you into a world champion. And that's exactly what he did.
Yes, he did. And I think it's sooner or later we're going to see Bobby Lashley in AEW as well. And I'm sure you're very excited to see that. MVP,
the Almighty's coming. Almighty is coming to All Elite Wrestling.
Also, in terms of recruitment, MVP has a great gimmick in terms of character of giving people his business card to say, hey, call me. He gave Swerve his business card when Shelton Benjamin beat Leo Rush on Dynamite. MVP stuffed a business card in Leo Rush's tights. So it's possible we could be seeing Leo take the Cedric Alexander role in WWE.
After WrestleDream, he went up to the Acclaim, gave Max Caster his business card and said, hit me up when you decide to be serious. And, the Acclaim could be a good parallel to the Street Profits.
Man, oh man.
Could we see a heel Acclaim coming? There's a sick part of me. There's a little sick part of me inside that wants to say yes.
It would make me very, very, very sad. But anyway, MVP and so they have a summit here, right? And Swerve is looking at Shelton Benjamin, and he is looking at this man, and he is basically saying, he's pouring his heart out. And Swerve is like, if I were 12 years old in the ring with you, I'd be fucking stoked. And he is thanking Shelton for all he's done to influence the African-American wrestling community and being a trailblazer. And I'm like, Good on you guys. Good
Yeah.
on you for finally recognizing how much of a gem Shelton is. And we've been talking about him like for a good chunk of our retrospective podcasts, which are coming back, mind you. Shelton Benjamin, so damn good growing up.
He is.
So damn
Watching
good.
him wrestle live, first of all, when's the last time we've seen a Shelton Benjamin match get that much time? And when he was given that much time, I was reminded of how much of a fucking stud he is. He is huge. He looks great for his age, and he is stiff. Like he was given a good at least 10 minutes with Lio Rush. And that just reminded me why I love Shelton Benjamin so much. Yeah, it was cool to see him in WWE for the past 7 years. It was cool to see him give the rub to other wrestlers, but you just forgot like how fucking good he is.
Great promo from Swerve also, where basically part of his decision is also whether or not he decides to leave Prince Nana. And he's looking at him and he's like, since All Out, I've been knocked out. I've lost my childhood home. And most importantly, I've lost my championship. And you think he's going to turn on Nana. But he flips the switch and he's like, then again, I also wouldn't have all these things without you, Nana. Your family. And he basically tells MVP that he's not interested in joining the Hurt Syndicate, as they're calling it, because they can't call it Hurt Business.
He told MVP to take that business card and shove it straight up his ass. And you know what? In any typical wrestling storyline, you might be thinking, oh, he is going to turn on Nana and he is going to join the Syndicate. I don't think that's going to happen. I think Swerve Strickland is going to feud with everyone in the Hurt Syndicate, Benjamin, MVP, Lio Rush, if he decides to join, until he runs into that brick wall that is Lashley.
Yeah. Now,
fine. Do you want to be in the group? Fine. I got someone even better.
Now, to your point, this is going to lead to Lashley's debut. Hold off on that until pay-per-view. Okay? I don't want Bobby Lashley's debut to be on a shitty episode of Dynamite. I want it to be on a great pay-per-view. Like, because that's what Lashley deserves. That's the star power Lashley has. Like, you can have a great Swerve match against Shelton Benjamin on pay-per-view to lead to the Lashley debut. That's what I want at Full Gear, is Swerve versus Shelton.
Got some bad news for you, buddy. It's happening on the Halloween Dynamite next week.
Son of a bitch! Yeah. I didn't even...
But I will say this. Benjamin did finish the promo with some very eerie words. He looked at Swerve Strickland and said, I don't think you understood. We weren't asking you to join the Hurt Syndicate. We're telling you to. Because honestly, either you're with us or you're against us, and you're nothing without us.
Yeah.
Like some very strong words.
Super strong words. But
from the standard of excellence, as he's being called by MVP.
That is embarrassing, though. I didn't know that match was happening on free TV. I should have known. I should have known better, honestly. But
it's going to be stiff as fuck, though.
Someone's
leaving that match with a broken jaw.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are. So, up next, we go from the African-American wrestling community to the Hispanic wrestling community. The representation is fantastic here. Lucha Libre, 2 out of 3 falls. Hologram against the Beast Mortos. Hologram has been built up as AEW's luchador version of Goldberg. He is undefeated. Like, nobody's been able to pin him. Why the fuck is this match 2 out of 3 falls? Like, you just killed his entire thing. Like, yes, he is another flippy-dippy wrestler. But if you say that he hasn't been pinned yet, don't make this match 2 out of 3 falls. Like,
totally understood. And, going into this match, I didn't think I was going to care about it too much. But these guys were fucking awesome in this match.
It was great.
You want to talk about Hologram and the momentum that he's been building up on AEW? Let's talk about the Beast Mortos. The first time I saw the Beast Mortos was when he was Black Taurus in TNA, actually in the Reformed Decay with Crazy Steve and Rosemary. But I didn't realize that Beast Mortos was tearing it up in AAA in Mexico. Here he is being brought back in AEW under LFI.
Yes.
I again, he was a good wrestler when I watched him in TNA, but this dude, oh my God, he is a Haas. And he is a luchador all wrapped up into one. Early on in this match, I did not think that this would be fucking possible. Mortos goes for a tope suicida, but when he dives out of the ring, he does a fucking corkscrew spin so flawlessly, so clean onto Hologram. And I'm like, what the fuck did I just look at? Was that a corkscrew tope suicida?
That was Lucha Libre is what you're seeing. You know?
It was fucking awesome. And you know what? I'm glad Shivani made this call on commentary because I was thinking about it too. He looks at Mortos and goes, that mask that he's wearing, it's more of a helmet. How can he breathe in that thing? How can he see in that thing? And I was thinking literally minutes before the same thing. Like, that is crazy that the Beast Mortos can wrestle in that thing, let alone see and talk. And like, I would have a panic attack if I was wearing something like that as a pro wrestler.
Yeah, dude. Like, it's almost like Finn Balor's Epcot helmet that he walks out with sometimes. I can't see, I can't breathe, except Mortos wrestles in it.
And like, also, like, you got to think about that with all masked wrestlers. How does that fuck up your peripheral? How does that see what's going around you if you're like, you know, you're basically looking like this?
But it also adds the intimidation factor for specific wrestlers because you put a mask on them, which has a blank expression. You don't know what they're thinking, and it makes them all the more intimidating. So, with that being said, Hologram is presented like a comic book character, as is the Beast Mortos, and they have really good chemistry. Hologram, of course, takes the first fall because he's never been pinned in AEW. He hits a crucifix bomb on the Beast Mortos, which, for a big man, yeah, that's a very impressive feat for Hologram there. But then the second fall happens, and the Beast Mortos hits Brody Lee's discus lariat and pins him. Like, again, in a vacuum, yeah, this would be fine. But if you didn't go on and on about how Hologram's never been pinned in this promotion, don't fucking pin him.
I think this was their way of not only elevating Hologram, but keeping the Beast Mortos as strong as he was, which I understand. But if that's the case, then you know what? Mortos probably should have went over in this match.
Yeah.
But I also think that this match like excellently elevated both guys. My issue with this match, and it's not just with this match, it kind of started in the three-way, and it became a thing almost every match until the last match. Too many Poison Ranas.
Yeah.
I love the Poison Rana, but in the three-way, this match, the tag team title match, and I think even in Darby Allin and Brody King, there was at least 2 Poison Ranas.
So yeah, there's more lucha things. Hologram then finally hits a second crucifix bomb on the Beast Mortos, and of course it goes to a third fall. Like, Hologram should have beat him in 2 straight falls. I'm sorry. I'm still so pissed that they pinned him in this match.
Kind of would have made Mortos not look like a beast.
So what? So what? You build up Hologram as an undefeated superhero.
But they also kind of made Mortos built him up to look like a beast. Like, I know we're in this age where being the big guy doesn't necessarily get you over anymore. We're not in the era of like Hogan and Andre and Warrior and guys like that, but we're also in an era where Haas wrestling has taken on a new form. And when you're looking at it, you know, out of kayfabe perspective, the big guy should still be a threat.
Yeah.
And the big isn't a threat if he's just going to go down so easily. So I hate to say it, the smaller man, but this match is one of my favorite tropes and one of my favorite match styles. I love the big versus little guy because you can get so creative with your spots. And I think they really did. It was a perfect combination of lucha libre high flying action mixed in with just those big, huge, heavy spots that Mortos was so good at. Again, that spinning clothesline, the thing of beauty.
Reminds me of Mr. Brody Lee. It really does.
Oh, yeah.
You know, miss him every day. But I'm going to go with this one. This was some really solid Lucha Libre stuff, man. It was super entertaining. I'm going to go 3.5, though. You know, it really, I think it really picked up, especially around the third fall, which is typical because the crowd was pretty quiet throughout the first couple of falls. Like, if you really wanted more heat for this match, just have it go 1 fall to a finish. Like, because again, you protect Hologram that way. But yeah, Beast Mortos could still look strong in defeat.
This match on paper probably should have been the cool down match. It ended up being an excellent palate cleanser. This following match, though, this felt like the cool down match.
It really did.
I'm kind of disappointed because on paper, in a vacuum, this looked like it should have kicked all sorts of ass.
Yeah,
it wasn't good.
And it's another big man versus little man match.
And I really enjoyed the build. This is Darby Allin versus House of Black's Brody King. How did we get here? Kind of in a stupid way.
Bro.
Darby Allin earned himself an AEW World Championship match at Grand Slam, but he had a severe case of dumbass babyface syndrome, put his title shot on the line against John Moxley,
dude.
and lost it.
Yeah,
the title match. He defended his title shot at the show where he was supposed to get the title match.
And then the champion was also booked in another match against Nigel McGuinness. Because Tony Khan was like, oh, I'm not going to have Bryan Danielson for much longer anymore, so I got to make sure him and Nigel go at it. But then, but then Tony Khan was like, okay, I gave Darby this title shot, but oh shit, John Moxley just came back and killed Bryan Danielson and All Out. That's my story, so I got to get to that match for the next pay-per-view somehow. But
he needs a PA. He really needs a PA just to stand next to him with a notebook, and when he tries to do stuff, just be like, Mr. Khan, sir, you already gave Darby Allin a title shot.
He needs a head of creative. It can't be him.
He does. Like, look who he has back there. Jerry Lynn, Christopher Daniels. Like, come on. One of those guys.
He's not using any of them, is he?
He's going to have Danielson pretty soon.
Yeah.
Like, give Danielson the book.
Yeah. Yeah. No, because Danielson knows how to put together a damn good wrestling match and put together some damn good stories.
Once Darby Allin kind of lost it all, he lost his title shot. He kind of got like a chip on his shoulder. He got the flame relit under his ass. And in a great promo, he said, I'm laying out an open challenge. Anyone on the AEW roster wants to fight me at WrestleDream, come bring it. Brody King answered the challenge. And then him and Darby Allin had an excellent segment on television where Darby Allin said, you know what, Brody King? I'm the reason why you're in AEW. You just lost your job. You have 2 kids. And I'm the reason why Tony Khan reached out to you, signed you, and you can put food on the table now. Kind of not like being a heel, but kind of like poking the bear. Kind of like Darby Allin was trying to get this fire out of Brody King and be like, you know what, man? You can't beat me, and I'm the reason you're in AEW in the first place. So, again, he was like provoking him. So Brody King fired back and said, you know what, Darby?
That's not necessarily true, though, in a sense, because in AEW's lore, Brody King, I believe, has beaten Darby Allin every step of the way, except for when Darby beat him in a coffin match, but never pinned Brody King, never submitted Brody King. So I
like this also because it really humanized Brody King. The entire time Brody King has been in AEW, he's been House of Black, very spooky, supernatural. Ooh, look at the scary face paint. Look at the scary lighting.
Listen to the listen to the bark.
This promo really humanized Brody King. And again, Brody King gets on the mic and said, you know what, Darby? You're right. You are the reason why I'm in AEW. But I'm going to wipe the fucking floor with you. And it was a great segment.
There you go.
Match, though, I thought was fine. I thought there were some good spots. Brody King was throwing Darby Allin around like a rag doll. I was scared of what the spot was going to be. And when they got to the spot, I was kind of surprised. Darby Allin sets up Brody King on the steel steps on the outside, and he's going to go for a coffin drop. And in my mind, I go, Brody King's going to move, and this is going to fucking hurt. But no, Darby Allin just hits the coffin drop. And I kind of sat there and went, I could have swore Brody King was going to move.
No, but the spot, you don't understand, though. The spot was already Brody putting the steps on top of Darby Allin and Brody walking up the steps while they're on top of Darby. Like, you're going to squish him like a cockroach.
That's pretty tame by Darby Allin standards, don't you think?
Yeah.
And I'm not saying I don't want to see the guy brutalize himself. It was just kind of shocking when he just hit the coffin drop, and I was like, could have swore King was just going to move, and he was going to splat right on the steel steps.
Maybe that's for the better, though.
Yeah.
Maybe that's for the better. Darby Allin hits a code red on King, and, again, take a shot every time you see a code red on this show, or the code red alluded to. King, again, is just putting Darby into fucking orbit, just throwing him all over the Tacoma Dome. Allin, with that coffin drop on the steel steps, the fans were chanting holy shit for it, and it was well-deserved. Brody King then, just barely makes it back into the ring before the count of 10, and it's a pretty straightforward finish. Once Brody King gets back into the ring, Darby then hits one more coffin drop, and then he pins him 1, 2, 3, clean in the middle. It's,
Am I wrong for kind of thinking Brody should have went over?
I think so. Because Darby has been booked you don't understand, dude. Darby has been booked like such a dumbass over the past month that this was a put up or shut up performance for Darby. This was must win. Absolutely must win.
And also you got to look at the position Darby Allin's in right now, especially at the end of the show. It's clear he's going to get that world title shot probably on a pay-per-view.
Maybe
But I
even
don't know.
win
I
it.
was kind of,
Maybe even
I
win
just,
it.
yeah, I kind of feel like Allin humanized Brody to the point where I kind of wanted to see him win. And it would have been cool to see King get that definitive win.
Yeah,
But,
I mean,
I hope they continue with him.
I would
But at
have
the
been.
same time, I hope
Listen,
the Kings of the Dark Throne just go to WWE.
yeah, no, that's what
Black
I'm
Throne.
hoping too. That's what I'm hoping too. I mean, Rhea Ripley's over there, Zelina Vega's over there. Their significant others are in the House of Black. Brody King is apparently pretty good friends with one Phil Brooks, so I think it's only a matter of time before that trio hops over to Hunter's neck of the woods.
Notice
Because
how I said the Kings of the Black Throne and not House of Black. Buddy Matthews re-upped with AEW. He ain't going anywhere.
oh, really? Oh, fuck
Yeah.
me, dude. Like, I'm sure Rhea Ripley is very pissed off about that indeed.
But
But
Malachi and King
come
would
on
love to see
over. Come
them.
on over.
Yeah.
So
Just saying.
anyway,
Zelina Vega's lonely.
3 1/4 match was pretty physical. It was again like I wouldn't have minded a Brody King win. It would have been wrong in this case because Darby again has been booked like a real dumbass over the past month, so he needed to win this to really like re-up his stock again, especially if he's going to be challenging John Moxley at Full Gear. It's yeah, it was good physical match. It felt like a cool down, what you were saying.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I kind of just wanted a little more. I was waiting for that Darby Allin spot, and this is like
And
the
we
first
didn't
match
get
where
it.
that didn't happen. And I'm not saying I want to see. I don't want to see this man brutalized. I feel like he's taken enough bumps to last a lifetime. He's like a miniature version of Mick Foley. But when you put him in the ring with Brody King, a man who was manhandling him the entire time, again, I'm surprised he didn't tell Brody King, "I want you to chuck my ass off the stage."
Why not?
Like, sure, onto a table. No, just fucking chuck my ass onto the stage, and I'm gonna take a flat back bump on the concrete. And King's gonna go, "Are you okay, man?" Like,
Yeah.
I'm worried.
Yeah. It's just been storytelling in AEW, man. Like what is that? What is that? But up next, we're gonna have a bit to talk about with this one, huh? We're gonna have we're gonna have a bit of a debate. For the AEW World Tag Team titles, you have the Evie Petties, the Young Bucks, defending against Private Party. Where the fuck have they been? Man, they're still with the company?
I love Private Party.
I do
Leave
too. I
them
didn't know they
alone.
were in the company still. Tony
So-
Khan's booked them like real jobbers over the past 5 years, hasn't he?
This match was built around the obvious. Let's take you all the way back to October of 2019 on the second episode of Dynamite when they kicked off a tournament to crown the first ever AEW Tag Team Champions. I remember it like it was yesterday. I was sitting there watching the match, and I go, here we have the Young Bucks who created AEW going up against Private Party, who I thought were really cool. They had their gimmick was they go out to the clubs. They're part of, they're the cool guys. They used to have like the barricade, like the bouncer letting them into the ring. I thought it was a really sweet gimmick. And I kind of sat there going, it sucks they're going to lose them because it's the Bucks. Of course they're going to lose. But the Private Party pull off the biggest upset in AEW history, even though it was the second episode of Dynamite, and they beat the Young Bucks to advance in the tournament. And that match right there, that moment right there, was a beacon of hope for me because it made me look at AEW and go, wow, this company feels like anything is possible. This is a company where I can see brand new wrestlers that I've never heard of get elevated to main event status. And Private Party to me was that beacon of hope. But as you said, they went on to do absolutely nothing after that. They were a cool act, and then they teamed with Matt Hardy, and then they did a whole lot of nothing while they both got injured. But now we're back here, and that's the story. The Young Bucks saying, yeah, you may have beat us on the second episode of Dynamite, but this is the closest you're going to get to these titles. I did like the storytelling in that regard because Private Party had something to prove. This looked like a big moment for them to get back to that status. And it really showed the insecurity of the Young Bucks. Because look at the Young Bucks. They're incredibly famous. They're incredibly rich. They have a shoe deal. They're EVPs of this company. The world is in the palm of their hand. But they are so hung up over a match they lost 5 years ago that they feel like they need to expunge that loss.
They're
Private
EV
Party.
Petties. EV Petties. That's why you call them that.
In that regard, I think the Young Bucks did an excellent job of projecting their heel heat to get babyface empathy onto Private Party. And I think that is an excellent tool that heels need to have. Because when you're watching, a classic hero versus villain story, it's not just about wanting to see the bad guys lose. You want to see the good guys win. When you're watching Captain America, do you just want to see the Red Skull lose? Or do you want to see Captain America beat the Red Skull? When you're watching Spider-Man fight the Green Goblin, do you want to see the Green Goblin just go down? No, you want to see Spider-Man beat him and save the day. And I think that was just an interesting dynamic that I think the Young Bucks did a good job of injecting into this match.
Yeah, but then when they cut a promo before the match, when they basically call the Private Party mid-carders using insider terms on television that not everybody knows, it rubs me the wrong way, because that completely killed the crowd interest in the match for a good chunk of it until maybe the last 5 minutes or so. It was good wrestling, but this was all the Bucks' fault. They shouldn't have called the Private Party mid-carders, because they're basically telling the crowd, hey, these guys are not meant to be, they're not meant to be emotionally invested in. This is going to be an easy match for us. And the crowd listened to the Bucks.
But on the other side of that coin, I loved the motivational speech Amazing Red gave them before the match.
That's right.
I had no idea Amazing Red trained Private Party.
Yeah.
And, this could have been like a Black Rocky story. This could have been an Apollo Creed story, like the Michael B. Jordan version. But to your point, I wouldn't have had an issue with the Bucks saying that if Private Party would have won.
Yeah.
It would have all been worth it, dressing down the baby faces, kind of, giving them a verbal beatdown. I would have been okay with that if Private Party would have won. And when I was watching this match, I was kind of emotionally fueled to see Private Party win because I love a good underdog story. But to your point, all of that is for nothing when the good guys lose in the end. And I thought it was a good match for the most part. I think these two teams do have excellent chemistry. It's why they had such a match on that second episode, Dynamite. And I think my biggest issue in the match was the Bucks kicking out of Gin and Juice. One of the coolest tag team finishers out there that should be fucking protected, but the Bucks no, we're kicking out of this shit.
Yeah. They're made to look like Hulk Hogan, King Kong style. It really rubs me the wrong way, man.
It was cool to see Private Party return the favor and kick out of the EVP trigger, but again, that would have been a bigger moment if Private Party would have just fucking won one. And I think they should have won this match.
A Private Party, absolutely. I agree with you. They should have won this match. It's just tough to get invested in them when they haven't done jack squat since they beat the Bucks 5 years ago. And I completely forgot that match happened. I'll be completely honest. I forgot about that. And
I think it just would have been worth it because, again, I liked the way the match was built. I liked the story they were telling. And it all would have been worth it if Private Party would have fucking won.
Yeah. I know
would have been worth it.
Better late than never to push the Private Party because they're a really good tag team. I understand that a good chunk of the absolutely nothing that they've been doing for 5 years was Quen being injured. But listen, injuries aside, these guys should have been pushed to the moon immediately after beating the Bucks. Hell, they should have fucking won the titles after beating the Bucks.
I'm not saying that, in order to be, successful, you have to be booked consistently from start to finish because that doesn't always happen. The two biggest examples I can think of are Bryan Danielson and Kofi Kingston. More Kofi Kingston. Kofi Kingston did a whole lot of nothing for 10 years before the fans finally showed that they cared about him and they made him the WWE champion. It's never too late to finally, give somebody their flowers. It's just that let's use that as an example. Imagine at WrestleMania 35 if Bryan Danielson would have beat Kofi Kingston. It would have been all for nothing.
You've convinced me. You've convinced me. I've been so hung up on this Private Party push lately, and I was okay, you're pushing them again all of a sudden, but that Kofi Kingston analogy right there, that's what this is, and that's what this should be. again, like first match aside, like maybe Private Party beats the Bucks and they do the whole tag team title pattern where the babyface team loses the first match and then they get it in the second one. Like,
and that's possible because they did the same thing to Kingston. Remember, he was never supposed to be in that Elimination Chamber match. He made it to the final two with Danielson, and Danielson beat him. But that, again, that I don't want to. I don't want to compare too much because I will say the crowd reaction for Kingston is nowhere near. Like, I don't think Private Party's getting that big of a pop.
no,
But again, I just think the story they told with Private Party was definitely warranted for. Let's just let them fucking run with the titles.
yeah,
Let them run with them for like 3 months. And if you feel that just like, oh, it's not working, sure, put them right back on the Bucks. But that's the thing. Another thing with AEW, just take a chance on somebody. It's not going to ruin the company. It's a real Vince McMahon-itis kind of thing. I hate to make that comparison, but just take a chance on somebody. And I'm going to quote our good friend, Good Mike Work. There are so many fucking titles in the business right now. You look at WWE, AEW, NXT, TNA, AAA, New Japan Pro Wrestling, you know, all of these different promotions all around the country, all around the world. There are so many titles. Just let somebody run with one for a little bit. It's not going to ruin the business. We're not like, this isn't 1994. And if you put the WWE title on, let's say, 1-2-3 Kid, then yeah, that may have cost the company a lot of money because he wasn't a draw back then. But with all this wrestling, you could put the tag team titles on Private Party.
You really could have, man. Yeah, no, I know we had a whole big discussion about this yesterday, but I don't even know if that's worth getting into because I'm convinced now Private Party should absolutely win these titles.
Yeah, and you know, we saw a glimmer of hope when, again, I think it was Zay, he kicked out of the EVP trigger, and Quinn just got the shit beaten out of him. He took like a TK driver and an EVP trigger. So it looked like they were dead in the water, and they pretty much were. There was one last ditch ever when Zay got a roll up on one of the Bucks, but they kicked out of that.
There were some good near falls, man. Like getting close to the end of the match, like there were a lot of really good close calls. Like that roll up that I'm thinking of, that could have been the finish. But I think if Private Party is beating the Bucks
out of the bang for your buck.
Yeah. So, like, I think, honestly, if Private Party beat the Bucks that way, the win wouldn't have been as meaningful. Like, I want Private Party to beat the Bucks convincingly with the gin and juice.
Gin and juice, yeah.
Yeah, so, but...
They did pull out Silly String, though, which is a really cool move.
Gin and Juice is kicked out of, and then the Bucks hit the Meltzer driver on one of the members of Private Party, and, the Bucks retain, and the crowd is very sad indeed. Private Party is absolutely despondent. I'm convinced. I'm convinced they need to win these titles.
We're moving on to a storyline where it's weird because we have two of the same thing going on in AEW right now. Stokely Hathaway is now he wants Private Party, and Private Party kind of hinted towards a, if they lose another match, they're done kind of scenario, which I don't want that to happen. And Stokely straight up says, we all know, Zay is the standout star, and I don't want to see these guys turn on each other. Just why does the world hate tag teams? This is a really good tag team, and not every tag team needs to turn on each other.
No.
So let's just hope that this ends up good for Private Party, because they are really good.
Yeah.
I'm going to give it 3.5 stars, though. I still enjoyed it.
No, it was, fun match enough. I think I'm going to match 3.5. It was, I wish there was a bit more of a story than you beat the Bucks 5 years ago, so now the Bucks are trying to erase that loss. Like, you need more of a story than that. So,
but at the same time, you want to make another Kofi Kingston analogy. That was his whole feud with Randy Orton in 2019.
Yeah,
how they kept alluding back to the stupid.
But that was after Kofi won the title. That was fair. That was like putting it after the fact that if Private Party had won the titles from, let's say, I don't know, another heel tag team, they won them from the Ass Boys, then I feel like that would have worked a lot better. And then the Bucks come along, and then they're like, you're even though you beat us. Like, maybe the story wouldn't have worked as well because, I don't know. It's an interesting topic, but...
We can sit here and play Booker all day. I just hope that Private Party gets the push that they deserve.
Oh, and it looks like they're finally getting it. Like,
Yeah.
better late than
Maybe
never.
they'll go to WWE and tear it up with the Street Profits. Just kidding. I don't think they're ready for WWE yet.
Just kidding. Just kidding. Just kidding. Oh, man. Yeah, you ready to talk about this one?
Yeah.
You ripped
Here's
the
a
Band-Aid
match
off?
that I should have fucking hated.
Yeah.
For all intents and purposes.
Me
I should
too.
have fucking hated this match. Mark Briscoe is defending the Ring of Honor World Championship against the Learning Tree Chris Jericho.
Hi, guys!
All of our buttholes clenched in terror when Chris Jericho pinned Mark Briscoe on an episode of Collision in a 6-man tag and then challenged Briscoe to a match at WrestleDream for the Ring of Honor World Championship. Briscoe comes out flanked with his buddies on the conglomeration, Orange Cassidy, Rocky Romero. And yeah, Briscoe's all riled up. He's got that redneck kung fu in him, and he tells Jericho that he's going to beat him at WrestleDream. And then Jericho goes for the fucking low blow, and he says, Briscoe, I don't think you can beat me. You want to beat the Learning Tree? You can't do that. Maybe your brother Jay could have beat me, but then again, you'll never be as good as your brother Jay. And that lights a fire under Mark Briscoe. He sucker punches the shit out of Jericho and says, keep my brother's name out your damn mouth. And now you made this personal. I was a little on that. I was like, is it a little too soon to be bringing Jay's name into promos?
It's been like a year and a half, maybe 2 since Jay passed away. But I mean, yeah, like obviously I don't like at any point, no wrestler's death should ever be exploited for a storyline. But at the same time, the family also has to be okay with it. And I don't think
Mark had to be okay with it.
Listen, I don't think to Tony Khan's credit, like he would have let that storyline fly if the family was okay with it. If the family wasn't okay with it, Tony Khan would have absolutely vetoed it right there.
Especially Mark.
Yeah.
And, I feel like this also, again, I got to be honest, this feud just brought a lot of character development to Mark's arc. So that's basically the whole stand of everything. I liked how just bringing up Jay's name lit a fire underneath Mark, and you just wanted to see Mark beat the shit out of Jericho. When Mark is making his way to the ring, Tony Schiavone brings up Jay and how it was just such a devastating loss to the world. And he brings up that when Jay passed away, everybody was crying and Mark was consoling them. It was Jay's brother, Mark, who should probably be the most distraught out of all of them. He was the one comforting people over his brother's death. And that almost brought a tear to my eye.
Yeah, it's Miss J.
Pro wrestling does not deserve Mark Briscoe.
And again, I think as much as we fucking hated the Jericho Hook feud, which has been certainly well documented, and I hate to give Chris Jericho credit for anything nowadays, but listen, his involvement with Mark Briscoe has made the Ring of Honor World title feel as important as it ever has since Tony Khan purchased the property. I'm just saying that much.
Yeah, like Jericho, I feel like I don't want to give him too much credit either, but I think Jericho has finally made this Learning Tree gimmick work in the way that it's supposed to. Jericho needs to be that heel that you want to see lose. I'm pretty sure Jericho sat with Jeff Jarrett for a few hours and be like, how do you get that heat? How do you get that heat where the fans are eating out of the palm of your hands and they want to see you lose? And I think Jericho has finally perfected that formula. In the beginning moments of this match, Jericho hits a fucking code breaker on Mark, and Mark kicks out at 1.
Yeah.
And I really did enjoy the story that they were telling throughout this match of Jericho being, I'm the crafty veteran. I don't care that you're the world champion. You ain't beating me, buddy. And he was using his cunning experience to get over on Mark in the beginning moments of this match. And, I've always loved Mark Briscoe, but I just feel like he hasn't really done too much anything of interest this past year. But this match made me remind me how much I like this. I love Mark Briscoe.
Yeah, Mark Briscoe is like a treasure. It also should be noted that Big Bill was also at ringside with the Learning Tree, the Redwood. He hits Mark Briscoe with a big boot while Jericho is distracting his sworn enemy, Aubrey Edwards. And Big Bill is out there and he's jaw-jacking with the crowd. And here comes Orange Cassidy for some reason. It's not like him and Mark Briscoe are partners or anything. They're going to even the odds. Yeah,
they're Denny's after every episode of Dynamite. Catch him, Briscoe, Rocky Romero, and Katsuyori Shibata just chilling at a Denny's.
No.
Those guys. I want to hang out with the conglomeration.
The conglomeration is the most random fucking faction ever. I said it.
You know what? Yes, they are. but they're still cool.
Fuck the conglomeration, man.
What it is. They're growing on me.
Yeah.
They're just a, you know what? I finally get what Skylar was saying. They're just a bunch of best buds.
They're a bunch of they're a bunch of misfit best buds. You know, they're a bunch of misfits.
Come on, don't tell me you want to go to Denny's with them after a show, or like go catch a movie with them, or go to their house and play some Nintendo Switch with them.
I can't even imagine what Mark Briscoe's favorite video game is.
Yeah, so Orange Cassidy just starts blasting Big Bill with orange punches, and these are pretty good looking orange.
Yeah,
punches.
They're pretty good looking Superman punches to chop down the redwood tree.
And he's able to take Bill all the way up the ramp. Like Cassidy is just firing off the orange punch after orange punch after orange punch, and then later on into the match, while Jericho has the referee distracted, the bad apple Brian Keith comes and he blasts Mark Briscoe. Here comes Rocky Romero to save the day. I really, it's okay to have interference from baby faces if they're just there to even the odds.
Yeah. Oh, totally. And that's totally fine. Jericho counters a froggy bow off the top of the code breaker, which I thought was actually pretty sick. I'm not going to lie.
That's Lindsay's favorite finisher, isn't it?
The froggy bow. Oh yeah, it totally is. The crowd really wasn't into this match as much, probably because it was Jericho, but I enjoyed this. I really enjoyed this match. Mark Briscoe does kick out of that. Jericho teases a Judas effect, which is now the least effective finisher in all of wrestling, I think. Mark Briscoe teases a J driver. Jericho then hits the Judas effect. Jericho actually does hit the J Driller. He does, and which actually he posted on social media shortly after the pay-per-view, and he was like, "This is the first pile driver I've ever hit in my career." And
that's crazy.
Yeah, because he wanted to not only wanted to preserve being more of a technician, because I feel like the pile driver is more of a powerhouse type of move. But Jericho also didn't want to fuck up his tailbone or fuck up his back or anything. Hulk Hogan had even said, like, past all of his lies, like, "Hey, I shouldn't have been doing the leg drop, brother, because it did a number on my back and my hips." And
again, Jericho just did such a good job of, like, he hit the J Driller, and I'm like, you motherfucker, you're not going to win with Jay's finisher. But I always like to think of it like this: after he hit that spot and Mark kicked out, he had the spirit of his brother flowing through his veins.
He did.
Because he hulked up, full redneck kung fu. He fights back to Jericho. He hits a froggy bow. And again, I got choked up when he hit the J Driller.
Yes.
The J Driller.
He hit that froggy bow, and then he looked up and he reached for the sky, boy. And then he hit that J Driller. 1, 2, 3. Mark Briscoe retains the title. Really good match, actually. 3.5 stars. Jericho's best match in a while, which isn't saying much. Isn't saying much because the Hook feud sucked. Sucked.
A great match.
Yeah.
And before everyone freaks out, because I'm not going to lie, I freaked out a little. Jericho challenged Mark to another match on Dynamite, and Mark confirmed that next week it's going to be a ladder war, baby.
Fuck yeah.
Briscoe family special. But I think Mark goes over.
Yeah.
I truly think Mark goes over.
So now we have come to the final countdown. And Bryan Danielson is defending his AEW World title against Jon Moxley, the man who killed him a month ago. Danielson comes out, of course, to the music that is taking away a lot of AEW's budget every pay-per-view. It's probably why the pay-per-view still costs so much, is because Danielson is coming out to the final countdown every time. Moxley...
Before we get into this match,
like
you said, Jon Moxley, he destroyed Bryan Danielson at All Out and nearly choked him to death with a plastic bag. And we're all wondering, why is Jon Moxley doing this? Well, Jon Moxley has been cutting some very eerie promos on Dynamite. He's being very vague. He's saying he doesn't like what AEW's become. He said that, the company that he built is crumbling at his feet. He recruited Marina Shafir to do some of his dirty work. He got Claudio Castagnoli and Pac and Wheeler Yuta to turn on Bryan Danielson. And he just
Not Yuta yet.
Oh, not yet? Oh,
not yet.
My bad.
Yeah.
But yeah, he got the BCC to turn, and he keeps saying, this is not your company anymore. You work for us. And we're all just wondering, what the fuck is Moxley talking about?
Shane McMahon.
It's very eerie. I don't want that to be true. Don't want it. Again, this storyline very much has my attention.
It
Because
does.
what is causing Moxley to just go full, I mean, no pun intended, go full lunatic and
Yeah.
just like start
Why is
spouting out these conspiracy theories and
why
saying
is
this isn't your company anymore.
why is Moxley suffocating people with plastic bags and killing them now?
It's, it's very strange. Like somebody should kind of stop him.
Yeah.
Where's the police?
Why hasn't any of the audience members called the police on any of this brutality? Danielson comes out to his music, and you notice that he has some tears in his eyes. Probably because he's showing us that this is probably the last time.
Also,
Moxley,
Moxley, yeah, he comes to the ring flanked by Marina Shafir.
not a
Very
wild
interesting.
thing. Not a wild
Yeah,
thing.
doesn't make his heart sing.
It doesn't. It doesn't anymore because he doesn't come out to it, does he?
Two
You know?
things. I did find it strange that only Shafir accompanied to the ring, but I like this little pairing. I like that
Yeah.
Marina Shafir is kind of like the China to John Moxley's Triple H.
Yeah. Oh,
But
that's a good comparison.
yeah, they finally found a spot for Marina Shafir. Because what
Yeah.
did we think of Marina Shafir a couple years ago? She was the definition of cringe. I didn't know why she was in AEW. She cut that horrendous promo on Rampage. You don't know me. You don't know me. And I'm like, Marina, maybe it's time for you to find a new calling.
And
This
having
wrestling isn't for you.
and having horrible matches with Jade Cargill to boot.
Yeah.
Like, good lord. Yeah.
Randomly wrestling barefoot, and I'm just like, are you okay, Roddy? Come get your lady. Like, I'm a little concerned for her.
Roddy,
But, hey,
Roddy, you should probably tell your lady to not be involved in a murder cult and not have them like killing people on television. Like,
I'm sure
let's not
Roddy
do that.
tried, but then Marina Shafir choked him out, and he was like, okay, babe, you do whatever you want. I'm just gonna go over here and scream Adam some more. I'm gonna try and revive that old gimmick. Anywho,
Yikes!
I like the place Marina Shafir is in now. Again, like we said in the past, sometimes all it takes is a good faction.
Yep. But Danielson is posing on the turnbuckle. Moxley attacks him before the bell, and they fight to the final countdown, which I always love. I always love that.
Yes, that was
It's-
awesome.
It is. It is. I want them to do the whole match to music. Like,
Two
but
things. One thing, when I noticed the music wasn't stopping, I just imagined Tony Khan in gorilla position going, God damn it, you know how much fucking money I paid for this song? It's gonna play. The entire thing is gonna play. I'm getting my money's worth. And I was
the
hoping-
final
I was
countdown.
hoping this would happen. They fight, and Danielson gets Moxley up to the barricade, and at full force he runs at him, and he hits that running drop kick right as it hits the final countdown. I was hoping they would do something like that.
The timing of these moves. I remember back during Anarchy in the Arena when Darby like jumped off the balcony with a coffin drop on the chorus drop. It's the final countdown. He jumps.
And then
I
when
love
they
it.
start fighting more around the ring, Marina Shafir gets involved and jumps on Danielson's back. And Danielson actually having a backbone to throw Marina Shafir off. Like, again,
Yeah.
use some sense. This crazy woman is trying to choke me out. Defend yourself.
Yeah, dude.
Hey,
So
if Rhea Ripley is attacking you, get my back.
So the bell rings, and Danielson hits the running knee almost immediately, and almost pins John Moxley in the same 18 seconds when Sheamus pinned him all those years ago. And thankfully, the match does not end after 18 seconds. It actually goes on for quite a bit. It goes on for 27 minutes. Yeah,
On the dot.
Yeah, that's what you got to do. And this match actually, no, you were asking me why Bryce Remsburg was getting so much heat in the SAP Center. We'll explain why in a little bit. They were fighting, they were still brawling all the way through the outside. Danielson's hitting all his greatest hits, the suicide dives, probably because it's his last match as a full-time wrestler, spoiler alert. The back of Danielson's neck has that kinesio tape on it, right? Moxley, because he's a sick fuck, rips that tape off and starts scratching and clawing at it. And I'm like, ew, Jesus Christ.
Not only does he do that, he bites Danielson. And I'm just sitting here
Damn,
thinking,
what is with people?
missed dinner.
What is with people biting each other at these AEW shows? Shouldn't we know that we're not supposed to bite people? Like,
wow, John Moxley, did you miss dinner? Did you just walk by catering?
You
Like, you
shouldn't
don't
do
have
that.
to eat your coworkers.
Yeah, Moxley chokes Bryan Danielson with a television cable. He should have choked him with Justin Roberts' necktie if he really wanted to do callbacks to Danielson's entire career. Shafir is then Shafir is constantly getting involved in this match, and it gets to a point where Bryce Remsburg finally catches Shafir, and he's like, "You're out of here!" And I fucking love that. I love when referees do
Marina
that.
Shafir's face was priceless. She looked like a sad little puppy dog. Like, I didn't do anything. But then it transformed into a look of concern because I realized that look on her face was like, oh shit, Mox is not going to be happy about this.
Nope.
Kind of like Mox hired her to do a job, and Marina Shafir fucked up on that job. And she looked at Moxley with just this look of concern that Moxley's going to whoop my ass when we get to the back if he doesn't win this match.
Yeah, oh, totally. But these two have really good chemistry together. I remember a match they had at Revolution, I think it was, a couple of years ago when William Regal came in and formed the Blackpool Combat Club. That was a really freaking epic match in its own right. I don't think this match was as good as their first one a couple of years back.
You don't think so? I thought this match was either.
I don't think so. I don't think so. I think this match was, I don't want to say that Danielson's slowing down, but it's I don't know if he was like not putting as much effort in like as he was a couple of years ago, but I can't say that.
Match where it kind of hit me, and I'm not gonna lie, I should have had a little more appreciation for this run, but it hit me, and I just thought I'm gonna miss Bryan Danielson.
Me too, man.
Now
me
listen,
too.
This may be a little bit of a sidebar, and I want everyone to understand this right now. I know this is not going to happen, okay? Let me make that clear. I know this is not going to happen. But there is the fanboy in me, the professional wrestling fan in me. When January rolls around, I want to see Daniel Bryan in the Royal Rumble.
It's not going to happen.
I know.
And it's not going to happen. It's wishful thinking, but yeah, it's... I don't know. I don't know. But
I know that's not going to happen. But, again, Danielson was just a huge part of my life as a young adult, like first entering 18, 19, 20. And he's just going to be one of those wrestlers that I go, damn, should have appreciated him while he was here. And a lot of that love did come from WWE. And even though this AEW run has been so fucking awesome, I just hope sometime down the line, even if it's just an appearance, just the Royal Rumble, or maybe they go all out and he can have one last match. I just want to see him go back to where he became famous in the first place. Don't come with me with your pitchforks about it. I know he was a cult favorite in like Ring of Honor and stuff, but I'm just talking, you think about WrestleMania 30, I just want to see it one more time. Again, just a personal sidebar.
And like Punk said, you can never take that moment at WrestleMania 30 away from Daniel Bryan.
No.
Never.
Just like you can't take all of it away from him. This man has had a legendary career, and he's earned every bit of it.
Absolutely. But these two, like we were talking about, they have a really good match. Jon Moxley, for some reason, hits Seth Rollins' curb stomp. I don't know why. Jon Moxley and Seth Rollins have never interacted once in their entire careers. I mean, I remember Seth, interacting with someone who looked a little bit like Moxley. His name was Dean Ambrose.
Yeah, I was going to say, hit up Dean Ambrose, and you can deliver the message to Rollins.
Yeah. Yeah, someone contact Dean Ambrose and say that Jon Moxley stole his brother's move.
I hope Dean Ambrose is doing okay. I know he got his shit fucked up by Lashley on an episode of Raw in 2019, and haven't seen him since.
Yeah. I hope he's
chilling with El Generico in Mexico.
Yeah, I hope he's doing okay. I really hope Dean Ambrose is all right. But we could probably ask Renee Young too, right? I don't know where Renee Young has been, but anyway,
I think they're both just chilling with El Generico in Mexico.
Probably.
And if that's the case, we can just hit up Sami Zayn.
Yeah,
he's cool with all of them.
Moxley is applying his bulldog choke finishing submission move, and Danielson is fighting out of it. The no and yes chants while they're doing the boo yay thing, which I freaking love as a touch, especially in a Daniel Bryan match. Bryan is, Moxley hits an RKO out of nowhere also for some reason. I'm like, you've never once interacted with Randy Orton, Moxley. Like, Dean Ambrose might have, but Jon Moxley never.
Next, you're going to tell me that DDP gave QT Marshall his blessing to use the diamond cutter.
No, he didn't. He didn't, though.
I just hope one day QT Marshall can get his own finisher.
Yeah, why'd you steal his finisher, QT? Why'd you
Yeah.
steal it? You know?
And just to give everyone some context, I did tell QT Marshall that, and he said, I do have my own finisher. I was talking to Diamond Dallas Page, wait, yeah, bro, yeah, you can use the Diamond Cutter.
You can use the Diamond Cutter.
And I'm holding, and he literally threw up the diamond when I said that. I know I've been banished to parts unknown, but trust me, I'm doing the diamond pose right now.
There you go. Daniel Bryan applies the yes lock on John Moxley, and Moxley gets to the ropes. Well, he's doing the yes chant again, man. So I'm gonna call it the LaBelle lock. I'm gonna call it the yes lock, though.
It's the LaBelle lock.
It's the same move. Moxley hits a paradigm shift on the floor, which has been exposed, by the way. It's the Death Rider. The Death Rider is what they called it.
If you're yeah, it's the paradigm shift, but if you're going to call it the Death Rider, you have to say it right. Death Rider!
On the shout out to Excalibur. Yeah, Death Rider on the exposed concrete on the floor, which again, Bryan with his neck issues, like big no-no. Running knee by Bryan, again, another near fall. Moxley then, oh my gosh. So here's the finish, and it's actually kind of like, it might feel anticlimactic for Bryan Danielson's last match full time, but it's actually pretty simple because it plays into Danielson's whole injury history, right? Moxley hit that Death Rider.
Oh, before you bring that up, speaking of his neck, in this match, John Moxley hits a pile driver on the announce table.
Yep.
The positioning of that pile driver was fucking brutal. I didn't know to call the announce tables the announce bunkers. And this just proved it even more because that is a metal announce table that did not budge while Danielson bounced off of it.
Disgusting, right? So Danielson then is hit with a Gotch-style pile driver in the ring. Moxley then locks in a sleeper hold. Danielson fades to black. He's put to sleep. Bryce Remsburg rings the bell, and you can sense that Bryce Remsburg knows what he did. Like, just from the reaction, he rings the bell and he puts his hands up in disbelief. Like, he just can't believe that he ended Bryan's full-time career. Yeah.
There was just a wave of disappointment from the crowd. And you looked at the crowd. I don't want to compare it to Taker losing the streak because that's extreme. But you just look at the crowd and they are shocked that Danielson lost this way. And it was just kind of like a moment of disbelief, followed with a shower of boos. And
it was like Taker losing the streak. It really was like Taker losing the streak if you really think about it.
Can't throw trash in the ring anymore. They can't throw anything in the ring right now anymore because let me tell you something about arenas if you've never sat on the floor of a show. And I've known this a few times I've been to shows. If you purchase a soda, let's say, for example, or a bottled water, when you go back to your seat, they force you to put into a plastic cup because they don't want you chucking that shit in the ring. Too many times in the 90s have we seen it, but if this happened in the 90s, there would have been so much trash thrown into that ring. Because that crowd would have wanted Moxley dead. And then something very interesting happens. Moxley wins the match, but he's not really there to celebrate. He wants to continue business. And the whole BCC comes to the ring. Tak has a bag, like a burlap bag, and Moxley stuffs the AEW championship in there. And I had to think about this for a bit, but between this and Dynamite, because on Dynamite, Moxley does not have the AEW championship. He literally has taken this title hostage.
Yep.
And Moxley, literally, he knows the prestige of that world championship. And in his mind, he goes, I don't like what AEW's become. You don't deserve this championship. I'm winning it. And I'm putting it in storage because you guys don't deserve this title. I've never seen anyone do that. And what a fucking dastardly thing to do.
My brother, this is an ugly piece of shit. And I'm gonna put it in a storage unit. I'm working on a Moxley Dean Ambrose impression, but I don't think it's very good. I don't think it's very good.
It's a crazy thing. But Marina Shafir hits the ring again. Pac, Claudio Castagnoli, Wheeler Yuta, the trios champions. And then Moxley pulls out the plastic bag.
It's a vacuum seal bag. So what happens is Moxley puts the belt in that burlap bag. Then he gets the vacuum seal bag. And then finally, before Danielson does have friends backstage, Wheeler Yuta and Darby Allin both run down to the ring together. and Darby Allin runs the heels off. Wheeler Yuta is checking on Danielson, and then, like, I see Wheeler Yuta staring a hole through Darby Allin in the background. I'm like, he's gonna fucking turn on him, isn't he? Sure enough, Wheeler Yuta's been working with his BCC boys the entire time, hits Darby with the running knee, and then he decides to do it himself. John Moxley's
And
about
how
to...
fucked up is that? Can I just point out how fucked up that is?
Yeah.
Wheeler Yuta was Bryan Danielson's pupil, and
Yep.
Danielson taught Wheeler Yuta the cycling knee, and he used that to turn his back on AEW. And then
Yeah.
Wheeler Yuta is the one with the smoking gun now, and he puts the bag over Danielson's head, and it
Yes,
is
he
just
does.
sickening. Security tries to swarm the ring. The BCC fights them off. Then finally, other AEW stars run down. A Private Party. Jeff Jarrett gets in the mix. And let's give props to Jeff Jarrett real quick. He runs in the ring. He starts scrapping with Claudio Castagnoli. Moxley blasts him, and he put a nasty cut onto Jarrett's face. Because Jarrett does get in the ring to help out Danielson, and you just see his face all cut up. So props to the King of the Mountain right there for, man, I didn't realize how much I would love Jeff Jarrett as a babyface, but he is, wow.
Yeah.
So more wrestlers run down. Orange Cassidy gets taken out. Rocky Romero gets taken out.
Hook.
Briscoe gets taken out. Hook gets taken out. And it just looks like there's nobody that can stop the BCC. So they finally, they continue the assault, and then more wrestlers start running out. Adam Cole runs down. Like, more of the bigger starts running. And you know what? I have to side with Tony Schiavone here, because Schiavone goes, it's about damn time you guys came out. Like, why did you guys wait so long to come and help Danielson?
Yeah, well, they ran out.
Leader in AEW.
They ran out after the big spot. So Danielson's head and neck is wrapped in a steel chair, and then he is Pillmanized by Claudio Castagnoli, effectively writing him off AEW full time. I was talking to a friend of mine about this, and even as bittersweet of an ending as it is, I don't think this is the last time you're going to see Danielson on an AEW like pay-per-view, maybe even an AEW match. He's probably going to have a Sting-like schedule from this point on. He's probably going to pop in here and there for a typical, like, a match here or there, but he's not going to be winning any titles. He's not going to be...
Here's the thing. That was clear from day one, because Danielson said it, and on commentary, they mentioned it every single time the topic got brought up. The end of Danielson's full-time career.
Correct.
But I think I like the way they did this also, because they still wrote him off in a convincingly way that you can't just sit there and go, oh, Danielson will be back in a couple of weeks. No, we don't know when Danielson's coming back. You want to play the long game and really play into this, he's done full time? Wait a year.
Yeah.
Wait an entire year after this whole thing has gone down. The BCC has successfully taken over AEW, and then out of nowhere, Bryan Danielson returns.
I would love
he's
that.
Back. You know, maybe Moxley's not even AEW World Champion anymore. I don't expect Moxley to hold this title for a year, but he's back, and he just challenges Moxley to like a fucking dog collar match. And it's honestly a more interesting, less predictable way to write Danielson back in, instead of going like, oh, Danielson lost, he's just going to go home with his family, and he'll be back in a couple of months. Like, no, in this sense, you don't know when or even if Danielson's going to come back.
The possibilities are endless. I would personally wait to bring Danielson back until after Moxley loses the belt. Maybe he loses it clean to Will Ospreay or something. I like you just throw a random babyface in there. Darby Allin maybe is another possibility, but after that happens,
to him to be the next challenger. But the
Darby,
way pay-per-view went off the air, you know, tugged at the heartstrings, because I've never seen this in my 20 plus years of watching pro wrestling. I've never witnessed this. They're, you know, putting Danielson on the stretcher. They're being very careful with him. And then Excalibur just starts crying. And he goes, Danielson has meant so much to AEW and to pro wrestling, and he just can't hold back the tears. He starts crying, and then he goes, I'm sorry, guys, I can't. And he stops talking.
Yeah.
I've never seen a commentator brought to tears. You look at all of the moments in pro wrestling, Cody winning the title, Macho Man and Elizabeth reuniting, you know, the heinous things that Vince McMahon has done that has brought JR's piss to a boil on commentary. Among all of those moments, I've never heard a commentator cry.
Yeah, and Michael Cole got close at WrestleMania, man. I don't know about that. He got very close.
Like, we've seen a lot of pure emotion, but just to hear Excalibur, just to hear, you know, he couldn't even get the words out because he was just so upset that they did that to Danielson. What Danielson has meant to AEW, that he just couldn't. He was speechless.
Yeah, yeah. It's this is what I meant when I said WrestleDream turned into Wrestle Nightmare.
Yeah,
But this match was a fantastic main event. I'm gonna go 4. I'm gonna go 4 on it.
yeah,
It was really good. Yeah. Again, thank you to Bryan Danielson for a great full-time run. Enjoy your time with your children. I hope Buddy does not. I hope Buddy doesn't become too much of a menace.
and I hope Brody doesn't get so upset that she wants to fight Jon Moxley. Danielson's gonna have to go. Whoa, 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 hold on, Brody, hold on. Like you still got a good 10 or so years, but I'm gonna train you, and then you can whoop Moxley's ass when he's like 50 years old.
There you go. There you go. Moxley's gonna put her over backstage in a private match. So, yeah, no,
Moxley, you better fucking watch your back, because Birdie's coming for you, man.
you better hope that Bremo doesn't come after you either.
Oh shit!
You better hope that Bremo does not come after you after she's had a few drinks. But
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway,
WrestleDream, a 9 out of 10. This
really
was an excellent show.
I'm gonna go 8. I'm gonna go 8. I don't think the matches were as great to warrant a 9 out of 10 from me. I thought the story of the end was like, again, I feel like the follow up is just as important to the actual story going on. And the follow up, I wasn't that big of a fan of, but
Let's talk about the follow up, because it's been a big topic of conversation, and being at Dynamite, kind of just like, I understand. So the follow up to this was the conglomeration, Cassidy, Romero, and why am I blanking? Who was it wasn't
Mark Briscoe,
it was just oh my god,
Hook.
It was a 6-man. It was Cassidy, Romero, and
Shibata, maybe
no, not Shibata.
Kyle O'Reilly.
Kyle O'Reilly, thank you. It was O'Reilly, Cassidy, and Romero. They fought the Young Bucks and wow, I am blanking on Okada. They're fighting the Bucks and Okada, and the BCC stormed the ring, and they beat the hell out of the conglomeration. They beat the hell out of Top Flight and Daniel Garcia and Dark Order. And Moxley got on the mic and said, "If you are affiliated with AEW in any sort of way, you are a target, and we are coming for you." Just kind of like, it felt just like an invasion within the company. And I know that's weird to say because Moxley's been there since day one, but Moxley and Claudio Castagnoli and Pac, they're trying to be the gatekeepers of AEW. And they're saying, we run this show now. They're kind of like the biggest prisoners in the yard. And they're not taking any new members. They're just saying, we're going to beat the shit out of everybody. And Dark Order and Top Flight are challenging them to matches. And I know what people are saying, oh, this is very underwhelming. Who gives a fuck about the Dark Order? Who gives a fuck about Top Flight? But these guys are just fodder. You need to rack up for the BCC to turn them into a big threat. And I don't know who's going to come in and be the heroes at the end of this. But just because they're the first opponent doesn't mean this is all AEW is going to throw at the BCC. These guys are just fodder.
No way. Yeah, it's I don't know. Again, I was pretty underwhelmed when I saw that this was the first opponent for the I almost called them the Dark Order. Shit. The Invaders. But yeah, we'll certainly see what happens. But hit that subscribe button if you're new. Hit that thumbs up as well. Lots of new content hitting the channel very soon. Tomas and I will be getting to Backlash 2006 before you know it. Don't you worry.
And Judgment Day.
Absolutely. Yeah, I still got to watch Judgment Day, man. I've already watched Backlash. That was a good show. But yeah, more movie talk coming very soon. More Halloween playlists coming. Yeah. Thank you guys so much again for your support and commence that back talk. Yeah.
Full Gear is next month.
Full Gear.
And WWE Crown Jewel is coming up at the beginning of November. And of course, the Thanksgiving Classic Survivor Series War Games is coming up November 30th. And since it's a big four, if there are any classic Survivor Series shows you want us to look at, please give us some suggestions in the comments, and we'll talk to our good buddy Greg. He is the wrestling historian, and I'm sure he would have a lot of thoughts on some classic Survivor Series. So hit us all up.
I would love that.
Pro wrestling. Give us an excuse to talk about more pro wrestling.
I would love that. I would love more excuses to talk about pro wrestling. And so while we're talking about Big Fours, we are going to be purchasing our tickets to WrestleMania 41 in Las Vegas this upcoming week. And I can't freaking wait. It's going to be a lot of fun, and I can't wait to meet some of you guys also. So yeah, thank you again so much for tuning in. Commence that back talk. Talk to you guys soon.